in grand style. USA International Speedway in Lakeland, Florida, hosted a 200-lap challenge that saw Gary St. Amant capture a narrow victory over Kevin Sawinski. That contest, which featured 12 finishers on the lead lap, proved to be prophetic. The battling Buckeye, Amant, driving his familiar number 7 Chevrolet, captured the series championship, his second in 3 seasons. The runner-up position that Sawinski garnered in March served to predict his season-long finishing position. Although failing to take a single checker flag during 2000, the 1997 ASA champion did string together an impressive array of 10 top 5 finishes through the season in securing that number 2 spot. 2000 also saw the return of 3-time national ASA champion Butch Miller. Sporting his long-feared number 52, Miller stormed back into the arena of big-time short-track racing by capturing 3 victories and 3rd place in the championship. All in all, these 3 men, along with 82 other masters of the macadam, provided legions of fans of American short-track racing with all they could handle as the AC-Delco ASA Series Championship Tour presented its 33rd season of bump and run, full-bodied, pardon me, sir, I'm coming through action. Tonight, the 34th edition of the most prestigious short-track series in the world enters the new millennium. Tonight, St. Augustine Speedway has set the stage for what promises to be one terrific series of stock car races. If you like your racing shoulder to shoulder with wide open throttles, we've got just the place for you. This is the oldest city in the United States. Founded in 1565, St. Augustine is home to a burgeoning tourist and fishing center and has over the years attracted all manner of interesting visitors, including the English buccaneer Sir Francis Drake, who unsuccessfully attacked it in 1586. Tonight, this historic venue welcomes 40 adventurers of a different breed, the teams and drivers of the ASA, each ready to commence a battle for supremacy which will carry them throughout the United States. Hello, everybody. I'm Chris McClure. Welcome to the inaugural event of this millennium's first ASA season. And it is fitting that it should all start here in St. Augustine for this season of competition. It offers us a unique perspective, the traditions of the past, and the progressive nature of a vibrant motorsports community that owes a great deal of its success to its constant attention to improvement of the breed. Now, out on the front straightaway stands the first starting field of this new ASA year. But before we meet some of them, let's check in with Buddy Baker, our new expert commentator, and a man who's forgotten more about stock car racing than most of us will ever know, and find out just what ASA has done this year to keep this terrific series as exciting as ever. Buddy?
Taking a look at an ASA car, I'll tell you what, they are very unique. The bodies are made by 5-Star, and they make all the stock car bodies for ASA. They have a barcode just like a loaf of bread has. They run a machine over it, and if that barcode is not there, it's an illegal part, and you've raced for nothing. Looking at the motor here, you notice there's no carburetor, fuel injected. That's a Vortex LS1, fuel injected aluminum block motor. Same motors you get in Corvette, Pontiac, or Camaro. Very dependable. It's about $12,000. A racing motor for a short track car usually runs about $30,000 to $35,000. Dependability, they have it. Everything under this car is very lightweight. When you step on it, it's like riding a lightning rod up through the corners. I got to run this very car not long ago, and I tell you, they're a bona fide race car. Bob?
Hey, buddy, this is what's so cool about the ASA, the autograph session. And what other sport do you see fans getting autographs from the drivers just minutes before they take the green? Meet champion Gary St. Amant. Gary, You got last year's car here. You get the brand new one in the trailer. What's the deal with that?
Well, I think, you know, right now, last year's car is a little better than the new car. You know, the new car sat in the trailer all last year, and we decided we were really going to put forth an effort to make that car better. We did make it better, but we still unloaded this, the old Yeller here, and, you know, it's hopefully going to be a good choice for us tonight. And, you know, looking forward to running the new colors for Wins and AC-Delco and Lane Automotive.
Gary St. Amant starts third tonight to Sandy Hain.
Well, this driver's gotten the nickname of Kevin Winsky because of his rookie year. He managed to win over and over again. But also when you're talking about Kevin Sawinski, you've got to use the name champion. And I know he'd like to claim another championship this year.
We really would. You know, last year was a close year with Gary for our first year team. So we're looking forward to it this year. We got a new sponsor in Texas Roadhouse, and we're looking to give Gary a run for his money.
Now, I know you had a few difficulties last year coming back. Do you think you've got the team to gel this time?
I really do. You know, we got a chance to go to some of the racetracks and run on some of them again with this new Chevrolet Vortec motor. So we're looking for a good year and a tough competitive year out of everybody here.
Okay, well, let's see if you can recapture that nickname of Kevin Winsky. Back to you, Bob.
Butch Miller is a three-time champ in ASA, one of the best short trackers in all of America. Butch, you've been to a lot of racetracks. What do you expect from this one tonight?
Well, you know, I can't tell you a whole lot, but I've talked to Mike Cope and a couple other guys that race here on a weekly basis, or well, not weekly, but I've raced here several times. They showed me where to run on the racetrack, but I'll be darned if I'm telling you.
Oh, look at that. He's holding his secrets in his vest right now. Chris McClure, this is going to be interesting tonight.
It will be interesting. That man in his 243rd ASA start. He's won 42 times over the years, including a race in Florida. You know, there have been 5 ASA races in this state since 1996. And there have been 5 different winners in those 5 races. Will tonight be 6? We're going to find out pretty soon. TNN, the national network special presentation of the ASA.com 300 is being brought to you by the Home Depot. First in home improvement. Welcome back to St. Augustine Speedway. I'm Chris McClure alongside Buddy Baker. We're about to lift the lid on the 2001 ASA season. And now the words that we've been waiting all winter to hear, and they will be delivered by Al Alvarez, who is the brand manager of the GM Vortec engine project.
Racers, start your Vortec engines.
And you hear in the background the roar of the Vortec engines as 34 of them have life breathed into them with the signal from each and every driver. On the pole, we find a rookie, Johnny Sauter, who did perform in the series last year a little bit, will be on the front row on the inside, flanked by last year's Rookie of the Year, Joey Clanton. The defending champion, Gary St. Amant, anchors row 2, and then Kevin Sawinski on the outside. Now, Buddy Baker, you got 34 people out there that are facing the start of a brand new season. The start of the first race just moments away. What goes through their minds?
Well, right now, these drivers are ready to go. No more cabin fever. It's showtime. And I tell you, now they showcase all the hard work that their crew went through all winter long. And they're ready to go.
There you see row 11 and row 12. You saw Mike Cope, Mike Miller, and Chris Wimmer mentioned in the middle of the pack, 20th, 21st, 22nd. We're going to watch them because we expect them to move up early. And also, you like number 1 Mike Garvey to make an early move.
Well, he likes to lead every lap. He's starting back in 16th, but I guarantee he won't be there long.
34 are in it. They're beginning to roll along the front straight away. There are a number of people who faced ultimate disappointment. J.C. Beatty Jr., Greg Williams, Ricky Bryant, Ricky Nelson, some veterans there. Joe Knott didn't make it. He's a fellow who came here with 132 starts in his background and wasn't able to get through qualifying and into the field through the qualifying race. Now, before the green for the opening race for 2001, let's take a moment for tonight's B.F. Goodrich Tire Point of View.
The corners of the bank 12 degrees here. And I can tell you, when I got the test here last week in Gary St. Amant's car, if you make a mistake here, the wall's waiting on you. You have to treat this track with respect. Bob?
Buddy, to make sure that doesn't happen, you have to have a good tire. Some changes to these BFGs this year. They are a ½ inch narrower. They also have a stiffer sidewall. And what that means is these cars are going to turn better. According to Gary St. Amant, that means a lot of passing tonight here in St. Augustine. Sandy?
And there is a handful of drivers with this rookie stripe on their bumper worried about that passing, including Timmy J, Tim Zetracek. This is his first ASA race, but he does have a secret weapon. It's Diane Quimper. She's a tire changer, and she's as fast as the guys, Chris.
Sandy, it might not be a secret weapon, but winning the season's opening race can be certainly useful. 4 times in the history of ASA, the guy who did that went on to win the championship. Mark Martin's one of them, Butch Miller's one of them, Tim Sauter's one of them, and so is this guy. Gary St. Amant did it last year. And that's this evening's BFG POV. There's a lot of buzz about the rookie class for 2001. 13 rookies have qualified for this ASA opening race, the ASA.com 300. Of course, we mentioned on the pole Johnny Sauter. There's also Pat Kelly. He'll start from the 5th position. Johnny Spa won the qualifying race last night to get into this field. Matt Sealski, promising new charger. He's at the back of Francesco Cadesi from Long Island. Also has made the field after several tries last year. Now, on the point, Johnny Sauter. He's in a position he started to earn about 6 months ago.
My first race with AP Performance, driving 93 car. Alec Pinsino previously had driven. We sat on the pole at Milwaukee Mile. I think that those good accomplishments I had with AP Performance in the 93 car allowed me to be able to get the ride for 2001, and I'm really, really optimistic. We got really good people. We're headed up by Joe Shear, crew chief. Basically surrounded ourselves with the same people that Tim had when he won the championship in 1999. And I'm just real excited for 2001 to make our run for Rookie of the Year.
Crew Chief Joe Shear has worked with guys like Sauter, Martin, and Foyt. Joe, what are you thinking about the new guy behind the wheel?
I think I got an awesome guy. It's come up in generations of racing. I'm excited about being here. I've raced and I've worked for the best. My dad, racing against their family, working with Jay, Tim. I'm really excited about this. I think I got a future driver here that's going to show some stuff.
Johnny Sauter, a very emotional driver. He's going to try to keep his cool tonight.
He works off the point as you see them warming up the tires. Flanked on the outside, Joey Clanton. There's the 0-0 car. Coming from 14th position on the starting lineup, Scott Frazier, the rookie out of Canada. And there are about 500 folks from Shubenacadie, Nova Scotia, who've made the long trip down here to watch their hometown favorite in his ASA debut for 2001. Now, he did have a couple of runs last year, Buddy Baker, and he showed terrific promise.
Yes, and he knows the race card very well. Look at this. Before the green flag, we have one that's shortened it up about 1.5 feet. The nose, there's a lot of damage there.
Travis Kittleson out of Merritt Island, Florida, and you can see the damage there clearly to the front of the car. Don't know what happened, but he's going to have to step away from his 26th starting position and probably go to the pits. Maybe they can effect a repair if he can get there, but we're going to have to wait and see if he can join the field. We may start 33 here in St. Augustine. We're going to be standing by for the green flag. The ASA.com 300, perhaps delayed just a little bit, but not by much. Stay right.
You're watching live coverage of the ASA season opener here on TNN, where the first little smash and bash happened. Travis Kittleson lost it. They are now repairing or trying to repair some of the bodywork. His crew thinks he just got a little out of hand and lost control.
Well, Buddy, that speaks to the adrenaline running down there as the field continues to move back and forth, warming up their tires.
Well, actually, what happens is the air pressure is very low right now. They drop the air pressure because they know the tires are going to build more air pressure as they start running. And it's just like driving on a bag of worms when you first step on it like that. So that's what happened. He just lost the car and he spun around on him.
A lot of body work hanging loose right there. You think they can get him back in?
Boy, well, if he does, it won't look good, I promise you. And somebody else is out there damaged, too, because he had to hit somebody.
Well, there's number 18. That's Mike Miller out of Woodstock, Georgia. 16 career wins for the Janet King number 18 car. He's been around a good long time, coming from 21st on the starting grid. But if there's anybody in this field that knows how to pick his way through a field on a short track, he's one of them.
Boy, Mike Miller, I guarantee you, knows every little bump and crack and cranny on this racetrack. He's been out there for every test program
And there's Carl Hyland, who is his crew chief, and he's looking on with some concern. Take a look at the front of the car. I'm not sure. I don't think he was the one that was involved out there in the 30 car. The 30 car was 2 or 3 rows behind him, so I think he's just fine and ready to go. Bob Dillner in the pits standing by. Bob?
Well, we told you Johnny Sauter, the pole sitter, a very antsy guy inside the cockpit of that race car. He wants this race underway. He didn't want to see that caution flag. He is ready to go today.
And they're standing by, waiting for the start. His team looking on with great anxiety, very anxious about it. Johnny Sauter will lead the charge in a moment. We'll watch and see if the pace car makes that left turn down pit road. We expect he's going to do it. Take a look there. There he goes. Sauter has control of the field. The first row, the second row. He drops the hammer. Sauter takes off, and he is presented with the green flag from Tom Powell, and we're underway at St. Augustine. 300 laps, 150 miles to go. He took a chance. He jumped away out of turn number 4, and it was a beautiful start for Sauter.
Oh, indeed. As we ride along back in the pack, this is what it looked like. We have a great charge right now. Clanton on the outside, Gary St. Amant on the inside. See him dipping on the inside. That helps the car turn, getting in the corner. Now he's making a run on Clanton down the back straightaway. Front straightaway, trouble.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. We'll identify them as we pick them up. Number 60 in the foreground, that is Ed Brown. Number 29, he got in out of the qualifying race, Francesco Cadesi. That is the, I believe, the 62 cars. That Tommy Grimes there. 63 car, Brian Schwartz, excuse me. The rookie out of Countryside, Illinois. You see a lot of fluid coming out of the engine compartment there. The big hit back there in the field. These cars were well back in the pack, mid-pack, as a matter of fact. There's Godesi as he makes his way slowly around. Number 07, that belongs to Tully Esterline. And, buddy, let's take a look at exactly how that transpired.
Contact as they start off the corner there. You see the car down on the bottom weave. Now he tries to correct, goes high up into the outside wall. Hard lick, almost turns the car over. Holy mackerel, and you can see everybody behind him trying to check up. It's chain reaction from here on, just car after car getting involved.
Ed Brown backward there, Gadesi backward there. We also saw gathered up Glenn Allen Jr. out of Cincinnati, Ohio in the 56 machine, and nearly all-white machine. There you see the heavy hit to the outside wall. There's Glenn Allen Jr. coming through, and he nearly, if not made contact, just missed Kenny Phillips in the green 12 car right under the flag stand, and the yellow comes out immediately. Let's look at it from down low. Boy, he's almost squared up to the wall when he hits. That's a big hit.
It is a big hit, and he was very lucky the car didn't tip on over. If it started rolling there, he would have collected about twice as many cars because there would have been absolutely nowhere to go.
19 car back there, Dennis Lampman, he got through, and here's another look at it. Couple of looks at real-time speed, and number 10, Matt Sealski, also involved there as he ran into Brian Schwartz. He was just coming up along the wall and had nowhere to go. So we're going to have a little bit of a long cleanup here, I think, before we can get back to racing speed.
And you hear people talking all the time that qualifying is not important. Well, it is important because that was in the back part of the field. And usually when things happen, it's because cars get in a hurry trying to move up through the field, and that's exactly what happened there. Contact coming out of the corner and sent him right into the outside wall.
So we've had 4 laps of record and several cars damaged to the point where they probably won't be able to continue with this activity here tonight in the season lid lifter for ASA Racing 2001. We'll be back. Welcome back to St. Augustine. The yellow flag flies over the field in this season opener for 2001. We have reports from the pit standing by, Sandy Heng, but first let's go to Bob Dillner.
Well, Long Islander Frank Gaudisi was involved in that wreck. His car pretty wrecked up. He won't be returning, but that's not the reason why. Frank says his wrist hurts a lot right now, thinks it may be broken. He cannot move it. He will get medical attention down here on pit road. Sandy?
Well, right now we're with Brian. Tell us what happened out there.
I don't know, first lap we got hit from behind or something, and these guys are racing for the win too early. You know, it's a 300 lap race. Don't know what else to say. got hit from the rear and got turned.
And you just didn't know what happened next. Were the tires cold still? Did you?
Yeah, the tires are cold. The track's real damp. It's about 50 out here, and takes a lot of time to get heat in the brakes and tires. And guys just didn't want to wait for that. They wanted to go right away.
Okay, well, it's a clue, guys. You can see as we're talking, you can see your breath. It is Florida, but it is chilly down here.
Well, buddy, we did see them taking extra measures before the race to keep the moisture off the windshields and that sort of thing, but tires would be an issue that early as we take another look at what happened.
Well, Swartz right there, you can see he gets into the outside car there just a little bit. I didn't see a lot of contact with him. As he goes across, he hits the outside wall and springs way up in the air, and all the cars coming there, that's just chain reaction, nowhere to go. You really don't know what to do. You check up and you get hit from behind. You see all these cars getting turned around there by cars that are running behind them.
Well, you saw the 29 car, Francesco Gadesi there, spinning down the track. He got hit from the back, and I tell you, sometimes if you can't get your hand off the wheel, it'll snap and it can break your wrist.
Yeah, I think he needs to get out of the car and go get some medical attention. But I tell you, that's real easy to break like that.
Matt Sealski, you see, gathered up, trapped up against the wall. Also, Kenny Phillips, a lot of parts and shards of metal. There's that big hit. That's the most graphic look at how hard he went into that wall. That was a big one.
Yeah, and you can see back here the cars at the back of the field. They're trying to check up, and the guys behind them cannot react quick enough, and they get into the back of each other and just make a big mess on the front straightaway here.
So Schwartz's car is up on the back of the transport vehicle. The car is moving by in single file, and Bob Dillner has more in the pits.
Well, former Toyota Atlantic star Matt Sealski with major damage on that number 10 unsponsored machine. They are bringing him back down pit road. They do not know exactly what's wrong with the front end right now, but they believe they may have some bent front suspension. He's coming down pit road to the attention of C.R. Miller and the boys down here on the end of pit road. A lot of body damage on the left front of that car. The guys go to work. They're going to change 2 tires and also take a look underneath the left front once they pull that tire off. Matt Sealski very disappointed inside that race car right now. He's shaking his head. He was pounding his fist on the dashboard just a little while ago. Sealski very disappointed. A tough night, tough start to the season here at St. Augustine.
So they try to get that turned around. He just got gathered up, as did Glenn Allen Jr. You got to feel bad for folks who had nothing to do with it and got knocked around pretty good.
Yeah, and you see the fender is just sheared away there, and it had to hurt the left front wheel somewhat. I probably would suggest that it probably knocked the left front back and the toe ends out on the car.
Number 52, Butch Miller. We heard from him earlier in the program. There you see him. He escaped unscathed from that incident. He was well in front of it, as a matter of fact, as it unfolded on the track. He's been at it for a long time. This is his 243rd race. The question we posed to him at his home, why keep at it so very long?
I don't know why. I've loved cars since I was a kid, and that's all I dreamed about. I don't know why I got interested in cars, but it's been kind of a love affair that's never ended, and I still love cars, want to go fast, and I'm going to continue doing it.
It's wild, unpredictable, and downright raw. Experience the excitement of cable television's top-rated show. WWF Raw is War, Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern and Pacific, right here on TNN. Let's go back to the pits. Sandy Heng.
Well, this is one of the most frustrating moments for any driver and any team, to see your car brought back on the hook. Frank Gadesi is here. You got caught up in all of that. What exactly happened?
Coming out of 4, there was a pile-up right in front of us, and we nowhere to go. Somebody just hit us in the back, and that was it. I like to say hello to my kids and my wife, and we'll get them next time.
Now, looking at the car, the damage mostly looks like you've got a lot of damage in the front and also the left side.
Yeah, we're going to be ready for the next one. You know, we're going to get back to the shop, fix it up, and we're going to get ready. And there's nothing else we could do by now, right?
I know you worked really hard. I know you worked really hard in qualifying to get there. Your wrist has been bothering you. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, no problem. We're just gonna go see what. I think I sprained it, or I don't know if it's broken or not. But you know, we're gonna take care of it.
Okay, that's Frank Audesi out of the race. Frustrating, but he is vowing to be back. Worked really hard, if you remember, during the qualifying efforts to make sure he made the show, and he wants to make another.
I'm on time with Mike Garvey's pit box with crew chief Bon Suss. Bon, give us your point of view on why all this is happening at the beginning of this race, the first of the season.
Well, of course, everyone's starting their tires down a little bit. You got a 300-lap event, so you need to make 100 laps before you're probably pitting. But the other thing with this Florida tracks here in the middle of the winter, it's real nice during the day and stuff and warm, but at night it cools off real fast, and the dew gets on the racetrack, gets it pretty damp and wet. And it'll probably take 10 or 15 laps to burn all that off. And I think it's catching up with a couple of these guys. So hopefully we get some laps on the track, get it warmed up, and everyone will start feeling comfortable out there.
You didn't qualify as well as you had hoped. You're kind of in the middle of all that stuff. What is Mike saying so far?
The car was really good for the couple laps we got to run out there. We ended up qualifying in about these same conditions. It got a little cool, it got a little damp, and that kind of hurt us a little bit. But the car feels real good. We just want to, get everything up to temperature and up to speed, and, probably 25 laps in, we'll be in good shape. Hopefully everyone else gets comfortable with their cars too, and it'll be a good race.
And like you said, buddy, we're going to keep an eye on this #1 car all night long.
So they continue to move in single file around the course as the cleanup continues here at St. Augustine Speedway in the ASA.com 300. We'll get back to racing speed before too very long. We promised you that. Another of the spectacular views around St. Augustine, the St. Augustine Lighthouse. It's no longer active. It's been decommissioned, but it has all of its original lenses. Stay right there. Welcome back to St. Augustine. I'm Chris McClure alongside Buddy Baker. You can see there we're still under the caution, but all of the damaged race cars have been removed from the track, and we should be getting underway very shortly. Everybody's been talking about low tire pressures early, waiting for heat to come in. What's that all about, Buddy?
Well, what they're talking about, they start with the left sides at 14 pressure, and the right sides have 20 pounds of pressure. When they build up, it's 18 on the left side and 30 on the right. So they really drive much different after you get a little heat in the tires and build the air pressure up where the recommended is. But if you started with the air pressures up, they'd go to 50 pounds and you couldn't drive the race cars.
It'd be way too hard. They couldn't handle them. Bob Dillner in the pits. Bob?
A lot of emotion down here on pit road right now. Some sheet metal from Greg Stewart's car. Alan Massengill, you're the crew chief. Why did Greg come down pit road?
They made us come in. I mean, this, look, a piece of fiberglass dragging the road. It's bad. Bad call. I don't know what to say. It's just a bad call.
A lot of emotion, as I said. They say it's a bad call. ASA brought him on pit road.
Greg Stewart from Four Oaks, North Carolina, the 28-year-old in the Screaming Eagle Motorsports entry. We had spotted that piece of fiberglass, as it turned out, dragging on the side of the car. On the right side, as we go back to green, we're racing. We got the flag from Tom Powell, and leading the charge into the corner. Once again, Johnny Sauter with Joey Clanton right on his hip, and they got a little bit of a breakaway there, buddy,
yeah,
as they saw it coming.
You see Clanton there in second place. He got a great start. Johnny Sauter, of course, it's his race to start, so he got a little better jump. But back in here, these cars, you see the sparks coming off. Right now, they're low air pressure, and they're dragging the right side of the car as they enter the corner. That's what you're looking at.
Fourth place has been taken over by the number 20 machine of Pat Kelly. He's a rookie, and Sawinski has been moved back to the 5th spot. We're riding on board with Kevin Sawinski right now, who rides in the 5th position in this race. Looking forward out of his car. Just in front of him is Pat Kelly, and their 07 car sliding by in the sight Tully Esterline, well off the pace in the early going. Number 7 is the defending series champion, Gary Saint-Amand. We get somebody bottoming into the corner there. A few sparks out of the...
That's Kevin Sawinski in the 21, the black car. He's right down on the bottom, and every once in a while they'll put the left side on the flat part of the racetrack, and the car leans way over, and it'll drag the right side, entering the corner.
Which sets up a theme that we might want to expand on later on. You think that if you get down to that flat spot, you might be able to trick somebody on this track and pass them. We're on board, by the way, with Gary Saint-Amand looking backward to the Kelly car behind him. Well, 12 degrees of banking, buddy, and also the flat part to use. How do you use that when you're racing?
Okay, you have rumple strips on the inside of the racetrack, but you see them duck the left side as they enter the corner there. That puts a lot of pressure. Oh, we have trouble
Doug Stevens Jr. off the pavement, through the grass, and up against the pole there. He did it. He hit something. There are some tires and barriers there in front of that pole. He kind of popped the back end up in the air, and we get another yellow. We're up to 21 laps completed. Yeah, he's up on the big old tractor tire there, so he didn't really hit anything hard with that side of the car. If they pull him off there, they might be able to get him going again. And the 07 car, that of Tully Esterline, has gone into the pits, and he's got damage to the front end as well.
I think they're trying to take the whole front end off, or just get it up where they can tape it up and leave it where it's at. But you see him jerking around on it. He was in the first accident we had, and a lot of damage to the nose of that car.
So they continue that effort, and we go back under yellow. Tully Esterline, who comes from Pettisville, Ohio, a youngster in the series, and we'll take a look at what happened. Here's number 98, Doug Stevens Jr. out of Georgia, who has gotten free from the tire and moving up the track. Here's what happened.
Whoa, you can see the back of the car just step out there. Stevens along for the ride right now. He's got the brakes locked up, sliding, and at the last moment, just climbs up on there. If you're going to hit a pole, that's the way to hit it. Just kind of ease up on it.
Nice and soft with a tire in front of it. And he's staying out on the racetrack. I don't know if he even hurt his tires. We'll see when he comes back around whether he elects to go in. But once again, we reduced the speed in the event in the early going, and still, they really haven't had enough running at speed to get the heat we're talking about.
Not even close to it. I would say all the pressures are down. They did get to run long enough. You can see some of the better cars starting to move up towards the front there. I think we're going to have a real shootout when everybody gets the tires hot and have a few laps on the racetrack and get the heat in the surface.
Let's go back to the pits. Bob Dillner.
Well, I got a report on Doug Stevens. He hasn't been happy with that car from the start of the race, and now they think they have some rear end grease leaking on that car, and that's the reason why the incident happened. I just spoke to the crew. They're going to pull him down pit road, check it out, make some repairs, and get him back out there.
So maybe or maybe not, he'll be able to continue. Attrition becoming a factor in the early part of the going here in St. Augustine. The beginning of the 2001 season for the ASA Series, chapter number 1 of 20 that will be written before this season is concluded. Got a little overheating problem down in the pits. I'm not sure which car that is. Bob Dillner knows. Bob?
I'm down in Chad Wood's pit for the number 2 car. They are overheating. The crew going to work, adding water right now, trying to cool the car off, but it got way hot. Chad came in just a few laps ago, and now they're trying to get him back out there, but that does not look good, boys.
So all kinds of teams finding all variety of problems here in St. Augustine. But we're going to get a long racing segment in just a couple of minutes, I promise you. Welcome back to St. Augustine. I'm Chris McClure alongside Buddy Baker, tracking the progress of number 18, Mike Miller. We saw him start in 21st. He's back to 25th position now. We'll continue to track him. Sandy Heng, you have something?
Carl Highland is crew chief. He ducked in the pits really quickly. Were you making an adjustment? What were you doing?
Yes, Andy, we were extremely tight. We took some trailing arm angle out, took a couple rounds off the sway bar and removed some diagonal from the car. But we'll get it loose enough, we'll be all right. Come from the back, we'll get back up in the race. You know, for Jetta King, we'll do our best.
It's back green, guys. Back up the booth.
Working leader lap number 29, and again, hard on the throttle at the beginning. Johnny Sauter, and going right along with him was Joey Clanton. Looking a little bit further back, we've got Pat Kelly right there in the number 20 machine. He's running in 4th spot. Gary St. Amant held on to 3rd through the restart, buddy.
There was a little contact there between Sawinski. He's trying to work under the 20 car as they go into the corner side by side as they start off turn 2. Sawinski not waiting much tonight. He's trying to make a move as they head down into turn 1. He looks to the inside, left side of that car, completely on the flat part of the track.
And we're riding on board with Sawinski. Take a look just to the right. That is the 20 car of Mr. Kelly. Did he make it? It looks like he's got him on his hip now as they come off the corner. They're side by side. That's a heck of a car race right now.
It is that. And the bad part is the 20 car right now is kind of hung up on the outside. Pat Kelly right now is losing spots because he's on the high side of the racetrack, and you can see everybody lining up trying to make a move on him.
He's stuck up there, and Ricky Carlton from Tampa, Florida is taking advantage of it, or at least trying to. He's the blue car tucked down under underneath Kelly. You look back from Sawinski's car now, and it looks as though Kelly's been able to hold him off at least for another half lap. They're now in the middle of the corner. Did they touch? Boy, it was darn close back there, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure Kelly right now realizes if he can get back into that, now he's back in the preferred line, the lower part of the racetrack. You can see he picks up a lot of speed, starts to move away from cars that were giving him a hard time just a second ago.
Also joining up, Toby Porter from Greenville, South Carolina, looking on very closely in number 22. That is Mark Dismore Jr. locked in battle right now. Dismore running in 8th position. He's advancing against the 44 car of Toby Porter, and we have one turned around backward again.
That is Glenn Allen Jr. in the 56 car.
Well, Glenn Allen Jr. for the second time in this event comes to some grief. We saw him get collected and suffer at least a little bit of a bump in that big crash in the 3rd lap, but this has him turned around, and perhaps he's off power there. Otherwise, he might be trying to back up and turn around.
Yeah, I hadn't seen any smoke where he's getting it refired at all. He's just sitting there backwards and can't restart at the moment.
So they slow the field down one more time. We're up to lap number 36 in the event. And leading from the initial green flag has been Johnny Sauter, the rookie, who on a pole last year at Milwaukee earned himself a little bit better ride this year, and he's doing about all he can with it at the moment. That's all you can ask from any young racer. But I would suppose this is really working on these guys, trying to find a rhythm in the race, and it's stop, start, stop, start.
Now, you just said the key word, the rhythm. You have to do a little bit of it. These guys have been out of racing for quite a while now. They have to get that rhythm. Know exactly how deep to go down the corner. You make mistakes in the first race.
There we have a good look at Mark Dismore Jr. from Greenfield, Indiana. Now, in the last couple of years, the question has been asked with some authority, who are you really? Bob Dillner has an explanation of that.
The buzz about Mark Dismore last year was the fact that he was the son of the IRL driver by the same name. But his name is the buzz this year. First, he was known as Marquis Dismore. Then it was Mark Dismore. And now it's just Mark Dismore Jr. So what the heck is the deal with all these name changes?
The deal is everybody was confused on who I was. They asked me if I was, if I knew there was a Mark Dismore in IRL or if I was related to that Mark Dismore guy. And I figured it'd be a lot easier if I was Mark Dismore Jr. Then everybody kind of figures it out. So I'm just trying to save myself a little grief.
Well, I can guarantee you we'll all know who Mark Dismore Jr. is this year on the ASA circuit.
He's in his second full season of action in ASA racing and does have a promising future. Everyone seems to agree about that up and down the pits and back in the garage area. And he does have a nice racing pedigree.
He does that for sure. And I just looking at the cars here, you want to talk about some pretty race cars and well-built race cars. That was the first thing I noticed is the quality built race cars that they have in ASA.
Kenny Phillips, we saw him come to some grief a little bit earlier on from Wakeman, Ohio, in the Adopt America Network Chevrolet. He's going down into the pits right now, and Bob Dillner's there.
Well, rookie Kenny Phillips had high hopes coming into this. He warmed up the car very well, had some trouble in qualifying, but now he's having trouble in the race. The car just keeps on quitting. Some of the guys of GM Vortec are down here. They're taking a look at some of the electrical systems in this car. They don't know whether it's an electrical problem at this point or a fuel pressure problem. Sandy?
Well, I'm down here with Glenn Allen Jr., his crew chief Dave Taylor, and those are looking. They think he broke something on the right front. They're down trying to make an adjustment at this point. You may remember Glenn Allen got caught up in that first tangle since the car hasn't been quite right since they twisted it around early on in the race.
Glenn Allen Jr. getting repair. He runs at 25th position at the moment and well back in the field. It's been a tough night for him. The leader continues to be the number 9 machine, Johnny Sauter, as we operate under a yellow for the 4th time this evening. There's the 0-0 car, the young Canadian Scott Fraser, with all his fans from Shubenacadie, Nova Scotia. And I'm here to tell you that is one long way away from St. Augustine, Florida. But they all loaded up the vans, the cars, whatever else they could find, and made their way down here. And right now they're getting a pretty good show from their favorite. He's running 13th. That's a good opening segment for him in these stop and go conditions with the frequent yellow. So he could have a real good night lying ahead of him along with the rest of those in the field, just looking for the rhythm.
Yeah, and about Frazier, he builds race cars. He knows them in and out. As we get a restart here, Johnny Sauter goes up through the gears and goes down into turn 1. He's been very lucky to get great starts on every restart.
Joey Clanton comes along, and also Gary St. Amant comes a little quicker than before, although it's a couple of car lengths. Those two guys in front have a pretty good pull on those restarts.
Yeah, well, they know when it's going to happen. Back in the pack there, you really don't see the start. And then by the time you hear the radios, they go, 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 go. Well, they've already gone.
Looking back from Gary St. Amant and Kevin Sawinski in third and fourth position. It closes up as they go into the corner. Sauter, Clanton, St. Amant, those are the top three. Now we're looking forward from Sawinski's car, and you can see the bottoming there.
Yeah, and exactly. I noticed just on Gary St. Amant's car, he's got a peg that hangs down where they jack the car up to change the left rear tire, or if they want to change, you see it right there on the left rear corner. And as he goes in the corner, it kind of bottoms out and sparks.
Not that time through, but a little bit rough when you get down toward that flat spot, that transition from the banking of 12 degrees to the flat.
And it has all to do with that banking on the inside. It helps the car turn if you hit it just right. If you hit it wrong, it shoots the car up the racetrack.
You see that pitch from Sawinski's car as we check in with Bob Dillner.
Well, you guys were just talking about Gary St. Amant. I just spoke to crew chief Bill McGowan. He said Gary is reporting that that car is very tight. It doesn't want to turn in the corner right now. When they come in for their first pit stop, wow, what a move underneath of the 07 of Esterline. But they are going to make an adjustment on the stop. But, you know, Gary, he races the last 25 laps of this race. That's when he is going to be tough.
We're looking back from St. Amant's car. There he is right now. We saw just a moment ago, I think, buddy, Sawinski got out of the groove a little bit. He got way up near the wall and lost a little ground.
He did that, and what Sawinski's doing right now, he realizes Gary St. Amant's car is not turning like he wants it to. He's trying to figure, if I have to go high, can I do that? I think that's what he was doing, kind of feeling the track out.
Sandy Hay.
Crew Chief Mike Jaffe, Kevin Sawinski's crew chief, is pacing a little bit, and it's not because the car isn't hooked up. Actually, Kevin has told Mike Jaffe that the car is, quote, awesome. I asked him if they may try to make a run at St. Amant. He said not at this point. He thinks that Kevin is just going to ride it out and stay cool. And there you see him, Mike Jaffe, watching nervously.
He did seem like a nervous man, looking every which way as he stood up on the wall behind their pit there. We're riding still with Sawinski, and you can see up front the blue car belonging to Johnny Sauter. They're picking up traffic, but in the form of one car at a time. That makes it a little easier.
And if you'll notice, the slower traffic is going to the high side of the racetrack. They know the preferred line is around the bottom part of the racetrack, so the lap traffic looks in the mirror, sees the leader, they move up. That's real courtesy, and I tell you, there's a lot of times I wish people would give me that courtesy when you're leading a race.
And give a call to number 4, Mark Cole from Evansville, Indiana. He got in as a provisional on owner's points, and you see every opportunity. He knows he's not going to compete in the race. He's looking for seat time, and he gives everybody the room.
Well, and they'll remember that when he gets up there running better and they're not running quite so well, they'll give him a break. They'll remember that.
Gary St. Amant, you see the car get a little bit of a twitch there through the corner, kind of loose, it seems, at least for a moment. And Sawinski has drawn back up just a little bit since he lost the ground a few laps ago.
I'm watching Gary St. Amant's car. Oh, we have trouble again.
Ricky Carlton's turned it around and bumped the back of the car at least a little bit. Also, it looks as though the hood is punched up a little bit on that car. I can't see from this angle if he touched the front or maybe it's just sitting a little bit too high. But he's back underway. Not too much damage, if any, at all. So a relatively harmless turn. Let's take a look at it, buddy, and see what happened exactly.
Okay, Ricky Carlton in the blue car there. He gets a little assistance there from the 22 cars they head down the corner. That's Mark Dismore Jr. He gets a little hit there, backs her up, and just, wow, that's a pretty good lick.
Yeah, he hit it harder than it looked as he drove away, but it drove up on that wall, and all the impact went back underneath the rear bumper.
Well, if he wasn't tight, he will be now, because he's got a considerable more rear spoiler than he had before he hit that wall.
So he continues to move around and get himself back in the field. There you see the 21 car of Kevin Sawinski. There's the 7 car of Gary St. Amant. And again, we are under the yellow at St. Augustine. Along the riverfront, it is simply gorgeous as we take a look at the standings as they currently exist. 53 laps into a 300-lap event here in St. Augustine. We'll be back in just a moment. The XFL, it's football with an attitude. Experience the game like never before when John Avery and the Chicago Enforcers battle the Birmingham Bolts tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, right here on TNN. We're in St. Augustine. It's the season opener for ASA Racing. A quarter of 50 laps into the race, and it has been action-packed so far. Johnny Sauter has been able to lead this event from the get-go, followed closely by Joey Clanton, last year's Rookie of the Year. Those two fellows were on the front row at the start. Gary St. Amant was in row number 2. But the first 50 laps, action-packed, lots of yellows, lots of stop and go as they tried to find a rhythm. And it started real quick right after the flagman, Tom Powell, said, "Let's go racing, buddy."
It didn't take very long at all. As a matter of fact, coming out of the 4th corner, Brian Forts got tagged right there, turns into the outside wall. Almost went over.
That was a big hit, and it collected a lot of machinery behind. Here's another angle of that hit. That brought out the first and the longest of the cautions. Just a few moments ago, we had another spin. That was 98 Doug Stevens Jr. through the grass and up on the tire. Didn't get to the pole, and that helped save the car a little bit. And Johnny Sauter in the first 50 laps had a lot of practice on his restarts, and they worked pretty well, buddy.
He was very smooth.
So we wait for them to resume action here in St. Augustine. They're still under the yellow after our latest incident. The driver, Jim Hahn, in the pace car. He's a veteran of that sort of exercise, and probably to his taste and everybody else, at least so far tonight, he'd just soon be watching it from the end of pit road and letting them go at green flag speed so we could get some of that spectacular ASA short track action. Bob Dillner, you've got something for us.
Well, I'm down here in Ricky Carlton's pit as they go to work on the back end of that car, but I'm also with car chief Russ Blakely. What did Ricky say about that incident?
Ricky just asked if he was in the wrong. He wasn't real sure, and he thinks that he was up far enough. You know, it was just one of those close calls, and, you know, it's a racing incident. Racing happens.
Well, that sounds like it may be a politically correct answer, because when Ricky came in, he looked at me, flashed me a 22, and shook his fist. Sandy?
I'm down in Mark Dismore's pits right now, and what they're doing, they've got the tires out, and they've got a hot light on them, and it's not because they're trying to see what's going on. Actually, they're trying to get the glue to harden. It's so chilly down here. And I'm also talking to his crew chief, Howie let out. Now, Ricky Carlton, Ricky says that Dismore bumped him.
Well, we were going in the corner probably a little better than he did. He came down, and this is one of them deals, you know. Mark's running real good. He's got that wallemployers.com Chevrolet running real good right now.
Okay, we're back under green, guys.
We are indeed, and Johnny Sauter got to jump once again. Now we're looking at 4th and 5th position as the 44 machine and Toby Porter is trying to pick up a spot from Mr. Kelly there. That's 5th and 6th. They're fighting over. Sawinski remains in 4th, Simon 3rd, Clanton and Sauter at the point.
That's Gary St. Amant. We're almost up under his car right now, riding with Sawinski down in the corner. You can see now that it looks like the 7 car of Gary St. Amant is getting off the corner pretty decently.
They're going into the corner there as we go down low from the Sawinski car, right down on that flat spot. He's using a lot of that part of the racetrack.
Yeah, well, one thing about Gary St. Amant, you can't pressure him. He is a true veteran of short track racing, one of the best in the world.
And they straighten it out on the back. The quickest part of the race course here, it's a D-shaped course at St. Augustine, and on the back, you don't really have a straightaway. You're almost always in a turn through there, but it's quick.
Yeah, and that's where you make a lot of time up there, because you can shorten that back straightaway by cutting the angle off on the car in front of you if you can get up to it. You hear the stutter of the motor there. They have a chip in the electronics in this car that shuts the motor down at 6,500 RPMs, and that makes these cars very, very dependable as far as the motors go. You can't over-rev them.
And they're moving up. Dave Sawinski still fighting against Gary St. Amant. It's like 2 different battles. 1st and 2nd, 3rd and 4th, and then the rest behind them as they've broken it off just a little bit. I heard Butch Miller say earlier today, if you're not riding the limiter, you're not racing. No. You got to take it right to the top.
I thought I'd blown it up the first time I hit that rev limiter. I wasn't used to it, but I will tell you one thing. It was a good, it would tell you when to back off and get ready for the corner. It helped me a lot.
The red car in 5th position, that belongs to number 20, Pat Kelly, out of Joliet, Illinois. And Bob Dillner is standing by in the pits with more activity.
Well, Pat Kelly ran real well last year in Chicago. John Brolick is his crew chief. As a rookie, he's got to be pretty emotional with a good run like this.
Yeah, I believe he's really nervous out there. He's got such a great group of guys surrounding him right now. And, you know, he seems to do well under pressure, but this is putting him to a pretty big test.
So far, the ride of his life for Pat Kelly.
Pat Kelly wants to make ASA his home for a good long time. He'd like to go full-time racing this year. You know, he started 3 races last year. He also won a couple of local championships last season in the Chicago area. He's got some credentials.
I will tell you something. Just about all these guys in ASA have credentials. They don't get to this point in racing. This is the best short track drivers in the United States, period. Maybe in the world.
See Glenn Allen Jr. there in the middle of that pack. At least he's been able to get going once again. Gary St. Amant, as they worked through the traffic, was able to pull away from Sawinski by about a half a dozen car lengths there. So I think it was traffic that helped create that.
Yeah, and I was watching Joey Clanton's right front wheel. He's got it right. You can see just like a fire in the right front corner up there. He's laying on the brakes pretty hard at this point. You see right now as he goes in the corner there, the right front corner just lights up. He's riding the brake pretty hard getting into the corner.
The contenders wheeling around the lone car there, number
boy,
12, Kenny Phillips. And the 4 car that we talked about earlier, Mark Cole, has turned around. Also, we have the 0-0. That's our Canadian friend, Scott Fraser. Don't know if they hit each other, but they certainly stopped in the same corner.
Yeah, and you can see them trying to go across that sand on the inside. It rained earlier today, and you can see as these cars get out in the grass on the inside, they look like they pick up speed almost.
We'll see the front of Scott Fraser's car, and he has had contact there. Minimal damage, perhaps, but he did run into something, and now he's testing his steering and front end suspension. See the wiggle from the car. I assume that's what he's doing.
Yeah, and it looks like the front valence of the car is right down on the pavement. Look at this bunch.
And it casts a pall a little bit over the 500 gathered from Shubenacadie, Nova Scotia. They'd like to see him run a little bit longer. We're up to lap number 73. The 4 car of Mark Cole, who we remarked about earlier because of his courtesy. Well, now he's got it going, and he climbs up the 12-degree banking and makes the left turn into race direction as the service people gathered. We're going to take a look at how it occurred, buddy. Let's watch it unfold. Here they are, and we're already into the mess. There was more than one of them there.
You can see Fraser's right front corner there. I think right now you have, Mike Cope in the 3 car spins out also. You see the blue car on the inside there. It looked like just 2 cars trying to get in one spot there, getting in the corner, and Fraser got into the back, and that kind of triggered all of this action you see in the corner there.
And I think other than picking up some dirt and some mud, Cope escaped pretty much scot-free going through the infield there. The Canadians looking on, wondering what the fate of their man might be. Right now, I suppose a little bit disturbed, but he's still out on the race course, even with the damage to the nose of the car. We go back under yellow in St. Augustine. It is still Sauter on the point with Clanton on his hip, and we will be back. Back in St. Augustine, we run under yellow. This is the first of 20 events for the 2001 season. Now you look at the first half of the year. We're going to California next time out on March 10th. First trip that far west for this series. USA International, South Boston. Pick out your favorite track, one close to home, and make a date to come and watch ASA racing all the way through the shank of the summer, through August and into September before we find the champion for 2001. Will Gary St. Amant successfully defend and make it 2 in a row, or will it be someone else? At the point since the beginning has been the youngster Johnny Sauter. He's a rookie. Bob Dillner has more on his situation.
Well, Johnny Sauter's team maybe playing a little games with some of the other teams down here. They got up on the wall, looked like they were going to come in. They didn't. All the other teams were up on the wall waiting to see what the leader did. Now, this sets up something very interesting, guys. A lot of guys said this is going to be a 2 pit stop race, but Joey Clanton's team said they can make it on 1 stop and 1 stop alone. We're already 78 laps into this race. Should be very interesting the rest of the way.
Meantime, problems for Butch Miller to some degree. He's back in 22nd. He's been to the pits, hasn't he, Sandy?
Yeah, he did stop in to take on fuel and 2 right side tires real quickly. He's got an expert gas pit 3 times when he was on the podium last year. They did not have enough fuel to get through tech. That is how close they can call it on this team. And it's sometimes it's expertise like that that'll win the race. Back to Booth.
Thank you, Sandy. And once again, we go back to green on lap number 80, and it is Johnny Sauter, but the rest of them went along with him. Look at that freight train down the back straightaway. That is beautiful to watch as we get the no changes at the front. But, Buddy, that's fun.
Yeah, right now, Toby Porter in the 44 car is looking to the inside. We have racing. You see Toby Porter just touching just a little bit, and this is for third spot right
Third spot, yeah. Sawinski, does he have St. Amant finally where he wants him? I think so. Can he make it stick? We don't know just yet, but he has the position. Kevin Sawinski finally, after working on him for about 50 laps, off and on, slides down underneath.
You watch him just pull away now. Sawinski, a very quick race car out there. I think he'll pull right away from St. Amant as they go down the D part of this racetrack, the back straightaway. You can see Sawinski using that flat part of the racetrack to help turn that car as he heads down the front straightaway.
And the 52 car, that of Butch Miller, is in 21st position. So he's picked up a spot since the restart, but he's now got a long way to go to the front. He can see the front still, but it's a long way to go.
A long ways to go and a long time to get there, though.
He's running in close proximity to Fraser, who had a little damage to the front end that started that last yellow, and that is a battle for position between them. Also, the 10 car of Sealski is in the vicinity, but that is not a battle for position between them. You see Sealski, he's way back. It's pretty hard to handle the car with no front end like that, although he's staying out there for seat time.
Yeah, you see Miller getting under, and here comes Fraser on the inside, the 00. Involved in that last little wreck down there, but did not seem to hurt the car. Fraser back up to full song.
Butch Miller continues to soldier on. An interesting note he made to me this afternoon. He was talking to some folks about restarts. Most of them were saying they like to start in second here, at least that's what they thought. He said, I'm going to start restarts in third gear.
Anytime you can cut down on shifting on a short track, you do it, because it gets up to speed pretty quick. Third gear, I mean, it's almost like a second on a major speedway, so you just sail right up into high gear. You see right now that Johnny is putting them away. Sauter doing a great job.
And there are the two front runners, Sauter and Clanton. They've just cleared the 07 of Tully Esterline, who gave him plenty of room. Third and fourth came on through Sawinski and St. Amant. Porter in the 44 car is now running in the 5th position. They're all moving around on the outside this time of the 56 machine. Glenn Allen Jr. is well back into the pack. He has had more than his share of trouble in the first third of this race, and we're just coming up about 11 laps from now on 1/3 completed in this 300-lap feature.
I'm loving the way Joey Clanton's car looks in the corner. It's very, very smooth. He's not having to battle the car. He's running along in second. Sawinski has closed in on him, though.
Sawinski is relentless, if nothing else. He doesn't necessarily have to lead, but if he can, he will. Bob Dillner, you have more.
Well, we're down to Johnny Sauter's pit. We've been talking all race long about how excited he is to get this ride. Well, get this, guys. During the first practice session this weekend, he was so excited, wanted to go so fast, he stepped on the gas pedal and broke it. He actually had to weld it back together. Buddy, that ever happened to you?
I don't know, Buddy, did that ever happen to you? You get so excited in the car you broke one of the pedals?
No. I tried to stay on the right pedal the most, so I didn't like to get on the brake pedal too much. And Joey Clanton at the moment, you can see the 83 car as he goes down in the corner. It looks like a fire in that right front, so he is laying on that brake pedal pretty hard.
There you see it. I talked to a couple of the teams who said brakes they didn't think were going to be a problem, and they were talking about temperatures about 850, 900 degrees on the right front under braking during their practice, and a couple hundred degrees less than that on the back. Is that a good operating range, you think?
Well, yeah, I think they're okay. They're carbon metallic brakes, so they'll stand a lot of heat and all, but you can see right there, 3 wide down in the corner on a short track. You don't see that often.
Not very often at all as they're picking up some traffic. All the contenders, when you get a long green flag segment on a short track, you're going to be in traffic almost all the time. You've got to be able to deal with that or you can't race. There are the 3 men up front, Sauter, Clanton, and Sawinski, and trying to maintain contact as he finally does clear the traffic is the 7 car of Gary St. Amant, now running in 4th position. 5th belongs to the 44 car, Toby Porter. It's the best position he's enjoyed in this race.
Yeah, and it's good to have Toby Porter with us. He broke his neck in Portland in 1997. Spent a full year getting well and battled his way back, and now he's back winning, and it's good to have him in the ASA. He's a tremendous short track driver, and now he's entered into a public speaking course. He's in it for the long run. He said, I'm going to be a star. Tell everybody.
Riding on board with Gary St. Amant, coming up on a little bit more traffic on the front straightaway. In the pits, Sandy Heng is standing by with more information on Joey Clanton, the 2nd place car.
Well, Joey has been having just a tremendous run here, and you're not seeing a lot of pacing, not a lot of nervousness. In fact, he's not saying much on the radio at all. He's just riding it out and enjoying the ride. They say the car is set up very well. His times have been consistent. He has been staying solid, and actually they believe that car may have a little bit more in it, so we'll have to watch that closely if he makes a challenge.
Down on the low line, they both go through as Clanton is right in under Sauter. I don't know. They say he's being patient. Is he thinking about a move here?
I think he's being very patient. I think he may have the faster of the 2 cars, but every time I say that, you watch Sauter just move out about 2 or 3 car lengths. I think Clanton right now, though, like I said, the car is when we were riding behind him just a second ago in his camera car, you could tell that the car is really working well, very smooth in the corner. So he may just be riding it out until he makes a stop, and then they'll adjust a little bit, and here he'll come.
They continue to weave their way through traffic. Ed Brown is on their hip right now as they go down underneath. Sauter first, and then Joey Clanton in behind him. You see the black car, Sawinski, just in the distance, 2 or 3 car lengths behind. We're over 100 laps, over a third of the way through from the lid lifter of an ASA season. We're in St. Augustine. TNN, the national network special presentation of the ASA.com 300 is being brought to you by the Home Depot. First in home improvement. From underneath, the #1 car of Mike Garvey, right rear, Buddy Baker. That's hot.
Boy, it is. And look at the flex in that tire. You can see it going back and forth. That's a coilover spring that they use on these cars. Instead of having the spring by itself and the shock over mounted on to the race car, you can see it working through the corner there. See a little bit of, you can actually see some sparks off the right front brake up there, coming back all the way through the car and past the right rear.
He's currently running in 10th position is Mike Garvey. He started a bit further back than that, so he's picked up some ground in this event. We do know his personality asks him to lead as often as possible. He led the most laps in this series last year, but right now he's just trying to fight his way into position to perhaps do that before this night is over. He's right now running very close to the 18 car of Mike Miller. The leader is still Johnny Sauter, followed by Clanton. We've completed another 50-lap segment. Let's take a look at how that unfolded. First of all, we had the spin with Ricky Carlton that sent him up against the barrier, kind of climbed up on the cement. The leader, Johnny Sauter, he's moving by the 12 car of Kenny Phillips, and then the big bumper.
Wow, and Scott Fraser in the 00 there gets into the back of the 4 car, and around he goes, and then Mike Cope was also involved, several cars involved in that spin going into turn 3.
And then the change for position as Sawinski got by St. Amant. He'd been trying to set up that particular opportunity for a long time, and then Johnny Sauter continues to lead as we move into the second third of this event. And a quick reflection back, Frazier in the 00 car has moved up to 15th position. A good recovery from him, and that makes his Canadian friends a little happier. There's the race leader right up against the back of Greg Stewart, who now becomes a lap traffic and a back marker. We'll see how he behaves in this particular situation. Standing by right behind is Clanton. Sawinski's right there. And then there's a little space, more traffic before we pick up Gary St. Amant. In fact, Amant is now in 5th position, and Porter in the 44 car is credited with 4th spot. So he's moved around him in the last couple of minutes.
And watching Kevin Sawinski just a second ago, he had the left side of that car on the flat all the way through the corner. He's getting a little impatient. I think he wants to get up there and maybe lead this race.
We'll wait and see if he makes any kind of a bold move. Buddy, as we watch them dice through the traffic and so on, with Sauter, Clanton, and Sawinski, the top three, pretty close together, where's the best place to control a race from? Can you do it from second position? That's number 3, got backward. That's Mike Cope. So his second close call, but it looks like he's going to be able to continue. Also,
spinning there.
Mark Dismore Jr. is spun, and that's Butch Miller. He's having a tough night here in St. Augustine. He stops just so he didn't run into him, and there's damage on the left side of that car right there. The 02 Ryan Hemphill from Oakmont, Pennsylvania, has come to grief, and again the pace car has been dispatched to gather up the field. Jim Hahn at the wheel, and he's captured the leader. There he is, Johnny Sauter. I think we can still reflect on who can control the race from first, second, or third, and who might be in control of this one.
Well, usually if you run second place, the first place car runs up on traffic. They see the leader coming. The flagman tells them, hey, the leader's coming. They move out of the way, and if you're running second, you don't use up your car like the guy that runs up on the lap traffic has to put on the brakes, go in there and try to get under these lap cars. Once they see the leader, they move over for second.
Take a look at the replay just a moment ago. There it is as the spin goes with number 22, Mark Dismore. While in the background, we see Butch Miller comes up on him and stops. There's the 44 car. That belongs to Toby Porter. We talked about him a moment ago. He runs in 4th position. This is a terrific run for him. He started in 7th, so he was already pretty well qualified, and he's done something with it.
Well, anybody from Greenville, South Carolina knows that he's one of the top short track drivers in the country. So let me tell you, don't expect him to stay there. He'll go up to the front if he possibly can.
And now are we going to get some pit stops? The pace car has moved up a couple of grooves on the racetrack, and the leaders have moved to the left-hand side. And this is where we might get our first round of pit stops. And this is the way they would line up if they're going to do it. And the leaders, those on the lead lap, are free to go to the pits, and those stops are underway as they move down under the speed limit very cautiously into their pit stalls. Short pit stalls here, so it's real tight work for everybody. They got to mind their P's and Q's in here. Only about 20 feet long. Bob Dillner, you're there now.
Looks like a big traffic jam on the LIE. Johnny Sauter, they're changing the right side tires right now. He is so happy with this car. He said it is absolutely perfect. Please don't change a thing. And he beats the field off pit road.
And you see how tight it is there as Tristan Dupuis tries to get out. He's got traffic on the right, a stop car right in front of him. That's Mike Miller trying to clear away. They are real tight in there, but we're not going to get the whole field on pit road, and that helps alleviate some of the congestion. The way they do it, staggering with lead lap cars and then the rest of them, at least makes it work reasonably well. So we're at lap number 123. We have a leader in the name of Johnny Sauter. He's led from the start, and we've been through a round of pit stops, at least for the leaders. Memorial Presbyterian Church in downtown St. Augustine, Florida, built in 1889. A spectacular view. We'll be back in just a minute. Back in St. Augustine, there's a look at number 9, Johnny Sauter, who is not on the point after the pit stops. You see the pace car out there. He's been moved back a little bit in the field. Now, they did come in for pit stops, and we thought that Sauter had gotten out first. Take a look at it. Sauter's car on the right, Buddy Baker, and here comes Clanton down pit road.
Okay, you see him trying to get to the line first. Well, he did get out first.
He did get out first. So in that particular instance, he was able to maintain the position. Bob Dillner.
Wow, things are hot down here on pit road right now at Johnny Sauter's pit. Crew Chief Joe Shear and Vic Getzlaff for the tire guy, very aggravated. They believe Johnny Sauter did get off pit road, didn't pass anybody, didn't run a stop sign. And you know what? I was right here on the line, and I got to say, I think Johnny got out first, and there was no penalty in my mind.
So Johnny Sauter is going to have to fight his way back. Right now, the leader of record is the 83 car of Joey Clanton from Stockbridge, Georgia, as they continue at speed now. We've gotten the signal from Tom Powell from Rockford, Illinois, the flagger, and we're going to have to wait and see how this drama unfolds. There's a look at the number 15 machine, Scotty Legacy Jr. in the, what do you call that color?
Oh, boy, Chrome Illusion.
Chrome Illusion. And how much does that cost per pint, that paint?
Just $300. They said it's going to get a white coat just as soon as this race is over.
Okay, we have 83, Clanton on the point. Second place belongs to number 44, Toby Porter, with Gary St. Amant right behind him, and then Hansen in the 4th position.
Boy, Joey Clanton is moving out. He is checking out. You can barely see him up there going through the corner of the yellow car that you're looking at. Toby Porter just in front of Gary St. Amant.
On the back straight, they work their way through. Everybody working in heavy traffic right now. There you see Mark Dismore Jr. from Greenfield, Indiana. He's been backward once in the event, 22, but able to continue. He is running in the top 20 at the moment.
That's Johnny Sauter right now trying to recover from having to go to the back of the field here. And let me tell you, it's not easy to work up through this field. All these cars are running pretty well right now.
17th position is where Johnny Sauter currently sits. A 0-0 car, so Scott Frazier from Nova Scotia, Canada gets turned around once again. He's had his share of activity this evening that wasn't necessarily planned.
No, Scott Frazier got tagged there pretty hard as he was going into the corner right at the wrong place, and it just turned him right around.
So we get a yellow flag once again. Tom Powell, you saw over his shoulder as he extracted it from the rack and waved it over the field. And there is the race leader, number 83, Joey Clanton, who was last year's Rookie of the Year in this series. And he said this year, I'm going for the championship, make it a 1-2 punch. Let's go down to Sandy Hank.
Well, that controversial position may be short-term gain, but it may be long-term pain. Actually, a lot of frustration and fireworks here in Joey's pit. What happened? The gas man, as they were putting in the tank of fuel, did not get a full load. And the crew chief, they're arguing, tempers are flaring. They're trying to determine exactly how much fuel did get in. But it's obviously frustrating this team. They're replaying right now the pit stop and trying to learn what happened.
15-gallon fuel tanks, Buddy Baker, and you can get about 200 laps, a little over 100 miles on a tank.
Yeah, and the one thing you never want to do is send your car out there when it's not full of fuel. You're already stopped. If you're a few more seconds, it's better than having to come in maybe under the green and losing 2 or 3 laps. So that's very costly if they didn't get it full.
We'll wait and see what the verdict is after the discussion among fellow crew members down there. Although sometimes, as Sandy described, they can get a little heated. There's a lot at stake.
That's the time you want a 7-second delay on the broadcast.
Into the pits once again, Mike Miller from Woodstock, Georgia, the veteran with 16 career victories. Let's see what they have in mind here. They're going to go for left side tires, but you know, you can only change 2 tires per stop. They took care of that right side on their first stop. They couldn't come back in and do the left side under the same yellow, so now they're going for the rest of the set.
Well, this is the KTO veteran right there, and he knows he needs those left side tires to make that car hook into the corner.
Scott Frazier got backward just a moment ago. Let's see how he got backward. You thought he got tagged, buddy? Oh, yes.
Mike Cope got into the back of him, and you can see right there, he's lucky that he didn't get wrapped up there. See, Johnny Sauter also going by on the low side.
He had to haul her down to the low groove and get down on the flat part. Boy, well, Cope got by pretty easily there. That was actually, he was closer than Sauter, but still, they were both in at least some jeopardy for a moment. There's the front end of Frazier's car. That's from an earlier altercation. The Canadians have quieted down. They do have the well, they have the Maple Leaf at the ready just up over their shoulder should should his fortunes reverse themselves.
I thought I saw a club back in there somewhere.
That's a long drive for a long evening, I'll tell you.
Oh boy, I'll tell you what, they wouldn't miss it for anything. They really pulled for this guy.
And we get the restart. Good restart. Pole for Joey Clanton. 44, Toby Porter, had to swing around the car and line up his restart, but he was able to do that, went with him reasonably well. Good run underway for Toby Porter. A couple of races scheduled in ASA this year, but there is a great deal of speculation that it'll be more than just a couple of races.
I think so. I think with the success, you see Scotty Agassi there going across the infield, apparently a problem with his car.
Don't know how he got there, but it didn't look like he'd run into anything or suffered any damage. So he'll get it squared up and perhaps pointed in the right direction in just a moment. On board we are, looking down through the front with Gary St. Amant, who currently is running in the 3rd position, trying to run down Porter at the moment.
Yeah, and that was pretty interesting, riding inside of Gary St. Amant's car and listening to the motor. You want to know how to get back in the throttle? You could hear how he picked the throttle up. He didn't jump back in it, he eased back in it. And that keeps the rear wheels real tight on the racetrack. If you don't break them loose, you get great forward bite.
You know, we spent a lot of time in the first third of the race looking out of the front of Sawinski's car at the back of Gary St. Amant, and Sawinski got around him. We're right back in the same position. Sawinski's again trying to run down Gary St. Amant. Meantime, the 9 machine continues to make its way up the racetrack as Johnny Sauter, who led the first third of the race with relative ease, it seemed, is trying to fight his way back. Right now, he's working against Mike Cope, side-by-side action there, although I don't believe, I got to check it, but I don't think
I'll tell you what,
I
am impressed with the 9-car Sauter. He's passing some great race cars and great drivers on the outside, and that is not the preferred line, but he's making it work.
He's right now working on the veteran Butch Miller in 52, kind of boxed up high right now with a lot of traffic in front. We also do see that Scotty Lagasse Jr. did get underway in that 15 machine, so he's rejoined the fight. But still on the high groove and making ground is Johnny Sauter.
He's working hard up there, but what he has now, he's kind of boxed in. You have some lap traffic on the high side. Scotty Lagasse, pardon me, is up on the high side of the racetrack, just trying to stay out of the way. He's apparently having some kind of problem.
And those guys right in front of him, at least a couple of them, are wiggling a whole bunch. I'd be a little nervous if I was boxed in behind them, although 2 of them are certainly veteran runners. You saw the Mike Cope car and also 52 Butch Miller, but there were a couple a moment ago that looked like they might be twitchy.
Yeah, and Sauter had made that move on the outside to get by these cars, and that little bit of bottleneck that he got into there, he lost 2 spots back to the guys that he passed on the outside.
This is a pretty good fight going. You look at the right front of those cars as they dive into the corners. They're lighting them up pretty good on the brake side.
Yeah, and this front bunch right now, they got pretty much clear racetrack. They're not in the lap traffic, so they're moving right on out.
And Sawinski has made the space up on Gary St. Amant for the 2nd time in the race. He's gotten by him to take 3rd place away from Gary St. Amant. The standings: Plant, Porter, Sawinski, St. Amant, Hansen. That's the top 5. We're in St. Augustine. Stay right there. See the biggest stars in sports entertainment and get a behind-the-scenes look at what's going down in the World Wrestling Federation. WWF Superstars, Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern and Pacific. Back at St. Augustine, Clanton, last year's Rookie of the Year, continues to lead as we go back to yellow. Sawinski has moved into 2nd place, and let's take a look at what precipitated the yellow flag. And number 15, Scotty Lagasse Jr., making his way down pit road. Is he the culprit? Let's take a look, Buddy Baker.
He's on the high side there. Let's see. Yeah, he gets hit from behind. Looks like Porter got into the back of him there and just drove him right on around. Lagasse's having a problem, though. He's reporting he has a terrible vibration in the car.
So he's made his way into the pits, and that's a tough break for Toby Porter. He'd been shuffled back to 3rd place while we were gone as Kevin Sawinski went right on by him into the 2nd spot, and now he bumps into the back of the 15 car. Probably did at least a little bit of damage to the front of his machine in a race he's trying to win and in position to be a true contender.
Absolutely, and that's one thing you don't want to do, is do a lot of damage to the front of the car. You lose the ability to get in the corner.
So we're at lap number 161, just past halfway in this race. What happened in the last 50-lap segment? Well, let's take a look as we see some more of the short track action. There's that hot right rear brake rotor, and from the number 1 car of Mike Garvey, spins earlier on. That was part of the problem. Scotty Lagasse this evening. Also, a youngster, Mark Dismore Jr., got sideways. Butch Miller was able to avoid him. First round of pit stops. Here comes the erstwhile leader, Johnny Sauter. Did he get out in time? Well, they didn't think so because they brought him back in. Then there's the bump just a few moments later. The 0-0 Scott Frazier turned around. And again, some more of that problem from Scotty Lagasse that you talked about, buddy.
Yeah, he's all over the infield there. That was self-inflicted there. Nobody hit him.
Johnny Sauter having to come back to the pits, moved way back in the field. He's trying to fight his way back. He's gotten all the way back to 7th position. He's making up some serious ground. Let's go down to Bob Dillner.
A great pit stop by Gary St. Amant. He comes out right behind Kevin Sawinski. Gary says the car is getting much better, but guess what? He says he still needs one more pit stop in this race.
And away they go. That was Johnny Sauter's car leaving pit road. And with that activity going on and the yellow flag out on the course, Porter is in the lead position. Toby Porter, number 44. St. Amant is in 7th spot. And then we have 83 Joey Clanton running in the 3rd spot. We're at St. Augustine. We'll be back. TNN's presence at ASA Racing takes many forms, including the souvenir trailer. TNN's got pop, no question about that. That's the pop shop right there, buddy.
Absolutely, and I tell you what, they do have pop, believe me.
And the one-time leader, Johnny Sauter, has come back into the pits, working on the left side of the car, and off he goes. Meantime, we go back to green on the front, and the race leader, number 83, Joey Clanton, storms by under the flag man, and he got a heck of a jump right there.
Yeah, and Sauter's almost a lap down. I mean, he was going out of the pits when the green came out, so he's got to hustle to get back in this race now.
Good speed shot out on the front as they make their way down under the flag stand. Working leader lap 167 now. 2nd place belongs to number 19, Dennis Lampman, a great big man. They call him the Gentle Giant, but he didn't pit in this round, not yet. Kelly didn't pit, neither did Taylor, Dismore, Jr., Stewart, or Miller. Those are the top 7. Kevin Sawinski, who had the lead when the pit stop round started, is in 8th spot, but from there back to 16th did pit. So it's a little misleading at the point right now. All these people didn't come to the pits, and there's nothing to say, Buddy Baker, they're going to have to.
Yeah, and exactly right, and I'm sure right now that these cars, they're hoping for a caution a little bit later on so they can make their pit stops. Why not take a gamble, stay out there, maybe you get lucky.
While the first round of pit stops came deep enough into the race, they should have ample fuel to get to the end. If they can do it without left side tires or having to chase their tires around, they might be able to take one away.
Yeah, but let me tell you something about short track. You see how much corners here?
Yeah, there's a bunch.
Straightaway, so you need the tires. They're probably hoping for a caution later on so they can get fresh tires and maybe stay up there and get lucky, like I say.
But there's the man on the point, Joey Clanton from Stockbridge, Georgia, last year's Rookie of the Year, the 83 car, and he's got a good stout race car this evening.
Absolutely, and he's a rambling wreck at Georgia Tech.
Relocating our one-time leader and pole man, Johnny Sauter. There you see him working through the field. He's in 17th position and weaving his way. He's using a lot of racetrack. Nearly comes into contact. In fact, there might have been a touch there, spinning around Matt Sealski, who's been without the front end of the car since almost the beginning of the race to begin with.
Well, Sealski knows that he got touched there.
Yeah.
You're being very kind there because he got tagged. Johnny Sauter right now on a mission. He's trying to make up a lot of time. He has fresh tires on that car, a little impatient.
Take a look at it. Once again, Johnny Sauter, you saw him coming right down the middle of the racetrack, and it was the, I'm not going to whoa up, get out of my way kind of feeling, and there was contact there, and Sealski went spinning away, and Sauter went on his merry way.
Yeah, well, you could tell that was going to happen, and I'm sure right now Johnny Sauter wished they'd put the brakes on there and give him a little shot down later on in the corner there to go by him on the bottom. He's got fresh tires. He don't have to get that impatient.
Bob Dillner, you have more.
Well, Johnny radioed into his crew and said, boys, I am coming to the front. Look out. But there are 2 reasons why he dropped to the tail of the field. On that last caution, they came in the first time. The jack dropped before the tires were changed. He came in again, and they threw the green flag. That's why he was way back in the pack. But, guys, it's going to be fun watching him come through the field.
Well, a man on a mission on a short track's always fun to watch.
You bet.
There's the race leader, number 83. That is Joey Clanton, last year's Rookie of the Year, looking to start this season off with a bang. Downtown St. Augustine, all kinds of Florida Vista. Cathedral of St. Augustine is what that spire is. Another of the beautiful scenics we found to greet us here for this season opening ASA race for 2001. As you take a look at the field down through 20th position. Stay right there. We've got more to come. We're in St. Augustine. I'm Chris McClure alongside Buddy Baker. This is the season opening ASA race for 2001, and that fellow, Joey Clanton, who won at Memphis Motorsports Park in the year 2000, trying to win at St. Augustine in the year 2001, and he walks on the point. Meantime, let's go to the pit. Sandy Hagen.
Well, that team has been trying to answer a critical question. Do they have enough fuel? They've got a camera mounted on a pole above, and they've been taping the pit stops. Here it is. This is what they've watched. This tape, I'm surprised it hasn't broken because they've watched it over and over, trying to determine if they got enough. Look at that splash right there. That's how they know they got enough fuel. They took 11 gallons, even though there was no fuel in that catch can. They believe they've got enough to go.
Well, that's a reasonable sign, Buddy Baker, that they filled up the 15 capacity.
Yeah, they still had a long discussion about it.
Meantime, Mike Garvey runs in the 8th spot in the event. Now, is this a fellow that believes in if you lead a lot, you win a title? Well, doesn't always work out that way. Bob Dillner has an explanation.
Mike Garvey, #1 4 times last year on the ASA circuit. At the end of last year, he was one of the hottest drivers on the circuit. But some tough times at the beginning of last season. How are you going to make sure that doesn't happen again, Mike?
Well, Bob, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to take my time a little more. Last year at the start of the year, we were all keyed up on the new package. We wanted to come out, win some races, and run up front. And I think I was just a little too aggressive. I'm just going to try to bide my time a little bit more this year at the start of the races.
Well, these guys are very, very confident. They could be #1 again this year. In fact, they're so confident, I made a bet with them. That's Jackman Neil Olson. You see, he's got a bald head. If they win the championship, I have to shave my head like Neil.
I don't know about you, buddy, but I'm pulling Mike Garvey from this point forward.
No, I don't want Dillner bald, I can tell you that.
I think we got to restart. We do. The green flag waves over the field, and Joey Clanton leads them into the first corner. Now, just behind him is number 19, Dennis Lampman. Big fella. They call him the Gentle Giant. Back in ASA for the first time since '96. He won a race a long time ago at Berlin. He was also won second in Rookie of the Year. He's not been around for a while, but he does have some savvy.
Yeah, he has some savvy. He's getting some savvy all over the back end of the car right now. He's getting a little contact as he went down in the corner. This guy is huge, I'm telling you right now. I looked at his seat in the race car. I don't have a Barker lounger that big.
Putting pressure on him, Tim Taylor from Indianapolis in the EMAS Ambulance Service Chevrolet, the 18 car, also moving through the field briskly in the last few moments. He runs in 4th spot. That's Mike Miller with 16 career wins. He's 55 years old, this fellow.
And on the outside there, Sawinski trying to make a pass on the outside. They're side by side down the back straightaway there. Sawinski in a hurry tonight.
Well, Mike Miller started in 21st position and now has himself in contention in this event, though Sawinski looks like he might have him. Now, the 3 car in the middle of that group is Mike Cope, and he is not fighting for position from where he is. He's fighting to stay in the same lap. He's running 18th in the race, but with that pack of cars in contention.
Well, he's had several spin-outs tonight. Some that he didn't orchestrate, and then some that he just kind of caused.
Sawinski trying to clear Cope completely, and I think he's done that. The next guy to try and get around Cope is Mike Miller, who's given up the 1 spot. Sawinski shuffles himself up to 4th. Taylor is his next target up the track, then Lampman, and then 83, Joey Clanton. That's the way they work in reverse order. 5th back up to 1st place. A lot of traffic right now for the contenders to deal with as they sort out on the front straightaway, coming back in front of the grandstand one more time. And look at Sawinski right up under the back of Lampman now.
Sawinski has that edge now. If he comes down there, we'll have another caution.
He's pinched down inside, and also a look at the 9 car. Let's double check on his position. Johnny Sauter running in 12th right now, trying to fight his way back to the front after what turned out to be a disastrous first pit stop.
Well, Sawinski just absolutely flying around this racetrack. We have somebody else that's picked it up another notch too. The yellow car there in the background that you see coming through the shot there. You can see Gary St. Amant has stepped it up another notch now.
Now Sawinski is trying to reel in the 28 machine of Tim Taylor. And if he can reel him in and then get by him, and it's only a car length to him now. Less than that as they get into the corner. He'll have second place. But in the meantime, Joey Clanton has kind of said bye-bye to just about everybody. Number 18, Mike Miller, continues to hang on to the 5th position. He's under attack at the moment from number 7, Gary St. Amant. There you see the two of them fighting for position on the racetrack. That is for 5th place. St. Amant finished all but 6 laps last year in the series trying to get the position. Let's go down to Bob Dillner.
Bob down in Mike Miller's pit. Crew chief Carl Hyland, your boy is running right now.
Yeah, I tell you what, Bob, we finally got this thing freed up. That little Jenna King Hot Rod Pontiac's doing a pretty good job. We just stay out of trouble. I think we got something at the end here for him, buddy.
You sure started way back in the field. Not a great qualifying run, but it's turned around for you.
Yeah, we've really got it turned around right now. And I tell you what, if we can keep this Jenna King Pontiac going just like it is, we got something here at the end. Maybe we'll do good.
Only 1 win last year for Mike Miller. He told me he was very disappointed with that. He's hoping to start off the season on the right foot here.
He's working on 4th place right now, and I think he's got it from Lampman. He does. And coming along with him, Gary St. Amant takes the 5th position, and Lampman has now been shuffled back to 6th. He just doesn't have quite enough race car to deal with these guys up front, buddy.
No, he does not, and he's starting to wash out a little bit. Another car that's picked it up another notch is the 1 car there. He is really sailing. Mike Garvey has picked it up now. He's joining the front group.
There is the race leader, 83, Joey Clanton, who has gotten a victory last year and winning Rookie of the Year honors, but he's not going to settle for that. Then when we move back, that's Glenn Allen Jr. He's several laps down, not fighting for position. The 2nd place car, there he is, number 28. Now he's 3rd place now. Sawinski's gotten by him. As we watch Joey Clanton, Sawinski got through.
And Joey Clanton driving a very, very smooth race right now. He does not seem to be leaning on a car, but he's flying around the racetrack.
So Sawinski trying to reel in the leader, and Sandy Heng standing by in the pit.
I'm with this crew chief right now, Mike Chaffee. Now tell me, looks like he's driving a very smooth, cautious, yet deliberate race.
Yeah, Kevin's doing a great job right now in the Texas Roadhouse Monte Carlo. That's pretty much his driving style. He's always smooth. We got a really, really good race car. I hope we have something for Joey Clanton, and Johnny Sauter, if he gets back to the front, it's going to be tough too.
At the start of the race, I was talking to him and asking him about his nickname, Kevin Sawinski, and his eagerness to recapture that glory. He says this team has gelled. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, after the first pit stop, I wasn't so sure. I had to come out of retirement, and I pretty much performed the worst pit stop in the history of tire changing. But the left side went pretty well, and these guys are a great team. We're going to win some races.
Okay, that's his crew chief, Mike Chaffee.
Buddy, they might start winning races right tonight. That's a reunification. Mike Chaffee was his crew chief in 1997 when he won the championship.
Yeah, and he got married in November. He's dropped 17 pounds playing racquetball every day with Mike Garvey. So he's really serious about his racing.
So he tries to reel in the front. Joey Clanton continues to lead. We're at St. Augustine, the beginning of the 2001 ASA season. There you see the standings. We'll be right back. Welcome back to St. Augustine. We've got a battle for position a little bit back in the field. The man on a mission, number 9, Johnny Sauter, is trying to run down number 52, the wily veteran, and Butch Miller. He's got traffic between them right now. That's for 9th and 10th position in this event. Up front, Joey Clanton continues to lead it with Sawinski trying to track him down. Number 18, Mike Miller, has been able to make his way through into 3rd position. Hansen is 4th, and Gary St. Amant is in the 5th position. There's a fellow that has been on a fly, and there is the leader as he's trying to work his way through traffic right now. That's Greg Stewart, the 28-year-old youngster who is well back in the field, several laps down. But right now, there's a touch there. Get out of my way, he says. Now is he going to get through? He is. What about the rest of them? They all scatter, and they're going to make their way around the 33 car of Greg Stewart. A little bit of impatience, perhaps, from number 83. I think maybe.
Oh, boy, and you can see a lot of debris on the racetrack, and they'll have to send a crew out there. One thing, if I was Joey Clanton, I would have been happy with that little bit of a lead I had there. He had about a straightaway over the 2nd place car. Now it's going to bunch everybody up. Whole new ball game.
Take a look at it. You see the 33 of Greg Stewart. He was high on the racetrack, and then he got bumped right at the entry to the corner. And then they just all have to make their way around. I wonder where that piece of sheet metal came from.
I don't know, but it was very blue.
Yes, it was. There it is lying on the racetrack. You can see, and they have gone to yellow once again. We're working leader lap number 217 of the 300. That will be the distance. And it was number 9, Johnny Sauter. I'll tell you what, the first third of this race was his and his alone, and it's just gone south since then.
Well, that when you get in the back and you're trying to make up a lot of time, and you know that was a wreck that he didn't have anything to do with. He goes down in the corner, couldn't check up in time, probably got in the back of somebody and just sheared that right front fender completely off the car.
There's 83, the race leader, and they're having a discussion.
Yeah.
33, Greg Stewart and Joey Clanton side by side. And in the pits, he's going to be in just a couple of minutes. The leaders of the race, the lead lap people, have moved to the left-hand side. Did they? Well, he was down there. Is he going to stay down there and head on into the pits? I don't know. We'll wait and see what transpired. Joey Clanton's led over 80 laps. The last time he led one of these events was back at Winchester last fall, a couple of races from the end. He only led 11 that night. He's had a much longer run at the front in this one.
Saw Gary St. Amant coming down pit road right now. He wants to make some adjustments. That car is still not the way he wants it. He had dropped back a few spots before the pit stop.
21 car Sawinski's been in for service, and he is now pulling up pit road. Another round of pit stops. We're less than 85 laps from the conclusion of this event. That's about a little over 40 miles to go. And this will be in the history books. You see Johnny Sauter there getting right side service. The stop sign is on. Sawinski's got there. St. Amant's there. Sauter with the right front damage also is there. Also Dennis Lampman in that queue to get out on the track. The 28 machine and Tim Taylor. And they all get the go signal. The traffic is cleared and out they go. We've had a slam bang evening, and we're in the stretch drive now for this ASA event. Let's look at our last 50 lap segment, and it was filled with activity. Toby Porter from Greenville, South Carolina, in the number 44, did a little bump from the back on Scotty Legacy. Going to take a look at that. Well, we see a pit stop there. That was a little earlier. Johnny Sauter was in the pits. He was then back on the track, and there was a little contact right there. That's when he messed up the right front. Contact. Well, you know, I'm a minimalist. Matt Sealski was the victim. Is that strong enough for you? And there we have Sawinski moving by Lampman for position. All kinds of position changes at the front in that 50-lap segment with Joey Clanton on the front. And now, after we got Sawinski peeling away for a pit stop as he got left side rubber, Mike Miller, number 18, who they spent 2/3 of a race trying to loosen up and give him a race car he could deal with, is in second position. And there's our Canadian friend, Scott Fraser. A little more damage to the front. Looks like he might have bumped somebody since we last saw him. We'll be back. Coming up on Saturday, March 10th on TNN, we'll have another ASA short track war. These same ASA racers travel to the West Coast for the first time in the series' 34-year history. It's the Tires.com 300 presented by BF Goodrich on Saturday, March 10th at 9 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. We invite you to tune in for that one. It'll be entertaining, as has St. Augustine. Number 19, he was as high as second in this event. Now running in 10th position is Dennis Lampman, back in the series for the first time since '96. Here's Sandy Hank.
When you see a barricaded flasher, it usually means it's a no passing zone. But for the driver of the number 19 car, Dennis Lampman, it also means stay out of his way. Now, are you tough to get around on the track?
Not necessarily, but I don't give them any more room than they need. You know, I've been taught by some of the best.
You're also a hard charger, so you like to pass yourself.
Yeah, I like the pass race cars. That's why usually I start deep in the fields, like pass race cars.
Well, he's gotten the nickname of the Gentle Giant over the years, and don't count him out. He has taken a checker at Berlin.
That was a couple of years ago, Buddy Baker, and he's got 2 sons-in-law that work in his crew in the paddock and the pits.
I'm going to tell you, if trouble ever starts, he's on my side. Wow.
And he's had a nice night. He really didn't have the race car to stay with the contenders, but when you're running in the top 10 this late in an ASA race, you've had a good day.
Yeah, and right now it's showtime. You can see Mike Miller getting a great start in the 18 car second there, but Joey Clapton just jumped out there about 6 car lengths on the restart.
And the number 5 machine, Scott Hansen, the 45-year-old that hails from Green Bay, Wisconsin, who was the 1989 Rookie of the Year in this series. He's running in the 3rd position. Great run for him. And Tristan Dupuis, who got his first victory in the series last year, car number 11, is in 4th spot. We got a fight for 2nd right now. That's where Hansen's trying to take it away from Mike Miller. He's really trying.
Well, Scott Hansen, one of the most aggressive race car drivers to ever run small tracks around the United States. He runs all divisions, and I tell you, when it comes down to showtime, he's the toughest man out there to beat.
He's right up under the rear spoiler of Mike Miller, and he's going to take a look down to the inside in the corner. Oh. They nearly touch as Miller comes down to the low groove. Not quite to the flat spot yet. There's still some racetrack left down there, isn't there?
Yeah, I told him, I told Scott Hansen today, every division needs an intimidator. He said, I would be your Huckleberry. I am the guy.
Okay, well, we'll see if he can intimidate another veteran in Mike Miller. There's 2 guys been around. That's about 450 starts between them.
Yeah, and they know exactly what they're doing. It's just up to the great cars right now. You can see Mike Miller not being intimidated, though. Scott Hansen made 2 or 3 runs on him, but he hadn't closed in on him to make the pass yet.
The yellow car there you see coming up into the background, that is Tristan Dupuis. That is for position. He's in 4th. And then Butch Miller, number 52. Where'd this veteran come from? He was in 15th, he was in 12th, he was in 18th, he was in 10th, now he's in 5th, and it matters more, doesn't it?
And now they're sitting on that wallet, and they're saying, you know, I can fill this wallet up if I start moving right now. The first part of the race, you just kind of get through and try not to tear your cars up. But now the better race cars will be, you'll know who they are.
And Butch Miller, he was trying all kinds of different lines in the practice. There's that battle for first. We'll keep a close eye on that. But Miller was one that was testing the flat part of the racetrack down low, where you might be able to trick somebody if you set them up just right.
Yeah, but I tell you what, it's pretty tough to trick any of these guys. Right now, you see Hansen looking to the outside there. He's thinking about trying to pass Mike Miller on the outside. If he pulls that off, I tell you what, he ought to get an Oscar.
We'll keep that in mind. It'll have to be next year. We already got our nominations for 2001.
I hear you.
But I'll take it, and I'm sure he would too. Boy, he's tucked right in there. You can see the glow from the right front. I noticed that was on Hansen's car. I didn't really see if Mike Miller was lighting him up. Is he getting a little bit better response from his brakes?
Well, and Dupuis in the 11 has moved in there and made it a 3-car race right now. And I'll tell you the honest truth, it looks like Dupuis may have a faster car than either car in front of him. He has really closed in for about a 10-car deficit.
Mechanical engineering graduate of Michigan Tech University. Decided when he was young not to get in a race car until he was out of school. He did just that. And then he started right away making a living driving race cars and has done it ever since. About 15 years worth. Scott Hansen, the 5 machine, he's in 3rd spot. Dupuis right up under him now as he takes a...
Oh, we have trouble.
Trouble up in the corner. The 20 car, the red one, Pat Kelly, is crosswise on the racetrack from Joliet, Illinois.
And Scott Frazier showing a lot of trouble. Oh, he's been in 2 or 3 mix-ups, and that car does not look too good now. The right front corner looks like it's pushed back. The tire is bent way in on the right front.
Well, it's been a progressive damage situation, and that is our friend Dennis Lampman also caught up, and you can see the left rear damage there, and he's gone back to the infield, going backward down pit road, it looks like. And take a look at it. There's Lampman backs in.
High up on the wall there. A lot of damage to the left rear corner of his car.
And also Pat Kelly there. Oh, and there's what happened to Scott Frazier. He came along as a Johnny-come-lately, and there it was, and he just ran right into the car of Pat Kelly.
Yeah, that looked to the world like he might not have the greatest brake system at that.
Yeah, and backward up pit road goes Lampman to his pit. And I would assume, buddy, that that's going to lead to a penalty.
I think he's got more problems than that. Right now, penalty wouldn't bother because that car went up on the wall with the left rear corner. It probably bent a lot of the suspension up. I doubt if he gets back in there.
Did you ever go corner race up pit road to get service?
I've been everywhere you can be on pit road, believe me. He's got his helmet off. He's fixing to get out of the car. A lot of damage to Lampman.
Okay, Sandy Hang. Oh, we thought Sandy was standing by. We'll wait for an update on her status. I think she's headed over to check out with Dennis
We're
Lampman.
down here. There we go. There we
Okay.
go. Now we've got some sound. They've got a great deal of body damage, especially if you can see around the left rear part of the car. Dennis is getting out. We'll try to talk to him real quickly about what happened. Just frustrating for him because they worked so hard on the car. He's got one of the Trado brothers that's working with him. And Dennis, I know this wasn't the way that you wanted to end it today. A lot of frustration for you.
Yeah, a little bit, but the guys on the crew did an excellent job today, and we worked on the car this morning and made some decisions, and it ran well. Just all depends who you got to race against sometimes. So.
Well, I know it's not like you to drive the wrong way down pit road.
Well, I couldn't get it turned around, and I was told by a very good friend of mine, you know, he never got towed off the racetrack, so I didn't.
Okay, Bob.
Well, Scott Frazier is from Shubenacadie, and looks like he got the Shubenacadie shuffle tonight. Scott, just a rough night indeed.
It hasn't went good right from the start, you know, just not our night. Maybe we used up all our luck last year, but just it seemed like anything that happened on the track, I was either the cause or I was involved in it. So it was just the type of thing. It ain't our night. The King Freightline Monte Carlo was going pretty good, but we just didn't get any breaks tonight.
Well, Scott and I are going go-kart racing on Monday night. He said he's looking forward to that a little bit more.
And his Canadian fans looking on with a wry grin as he had Buddy Baker. You got to take it sometimes.
Boy, oh boy, I tell you, they travel a long ways for that.
We're in St. Augustine. It's the home of many historic sites, including Flagler College, which was once the Ponce de Leon Hotel, named after the railroad magnate Henry M. Flagler. We're in the waning laps of the ASA Racing.com 3. Back at St. Augustine, we've had another incident. There was a yellow. A 20 car, Pat Kelly, was involved, at least to some degree. And now he seems to be more than just a little disturbed by the situation after having gotten out of his race car, Buddy Baker.
That's called short track conversation right there. I've heard it many times.
We had a spin from Greg Stewart just a couple of moments ago. The fellow from Four Oaks, North Carolina, 28 years old. He had a spin out a moment ago. Now we're in the final stretch of this race, less than 30 miles to go. The last 50 lap segment unfolded in the following fashion. This is the spin out that we were talking about. Greg Stewart from Four Oaks, he got a little bit of a bump from the back from the race leader Joey Clanton, and was able to, Clanton went on, 33 did not. A bunch of pit stops ensued. The guy down in the end in the blue car once led the race, Johnny Sauter, but he's out of contention. And then we had Hansen working on Miller in the second position. This is a great battle among veterans. Butch Miller is in the fight for the win, running in fifth spot. So a bunch of veterans have been able to make their way into contention, and this is what touched off the last yellow flag just a couple of moments ago. And the late arrival there was Scott Fraser, the Canadian, hitting the number 20 car, Pat Kelly. And so we're ready for the stretch run. A little over 50 laps left in this event, Buddy Baker. It should be a heck of a shootout.
It should that. And we have a guy that was Rookie of the Year last year leading, but a lot of veterans right on his heels.
Joey Clanton in the lead, but then Mike Miller, number 18, the veteran, in second. Hansen, the veteran, in third. Dupuis, who's a reasonably seasoned veteran, in fourth. And Miller. Then we have Sawinski and St. Amant, the defending champion. Another youngster, Dismore Jr., in the 8th spot. Bob Dillner's in the pits.
Scott Hansen's crew chief, John Benke. What do you think? Does Scott have a shot at this?
Yeah, the car's a little bit off, but he's driving the wheels off of it. And structural transport, Washington Apples, Ford Taurus, should be looking pretty good.
Scott Hansen won a couple of races last year at Salem and Jennerstown. 7 wins in 1998 to lead the series. He knows how to get it done, Buddy Baker, as we go back to green.
Well, anybody's ever watched Scott Hansen in the truck series, he drove for Schrader in that division. He also runs a lot of the Southwest Tour races, runs Phoenix, always Right there. That's
There he
why
goes.
they call him one of the best in the world on
Right
short track.
underneath. Right underneath Mike Miller. Sorry, didn't mean to step on you there, buddy, but what a great move it was, and smoothly executed into second place. Now, can he run down Joey Clanton, and who's in charge of the pace now?
Well, I can tell you one thing. He'll give it everything he has, and the car is really hooked up. He's getting off the corner extremely well. You can see him pulling away from Mike Miller a little bit off the corner. Dupuis looking for a place to run also in the 11 car just behind there. He's looking underneath Miller as they come down the front straightaway.
Dupuis would like to find a way around, and then we have Sawinski in the next spot back up the track. He's taken over the 5th spot. Butch Miller, something happened on the restart. I didn't detect it, but he's way back in 9th position all of a sudden. So he fell back right from the get-go in that restart. And there you have a freight train lined up for 3rd place. Mike Miller, Dupuis, and Sawinski underneath Dupuis.
Beautiful pass there. Dupuis just washed out a little bit getting in the corner, and Sawinski went just right on the bottom of the racetrack by smoothly.
Well, we saw Sawinski with a huge march forward a little while ago. He seems to have had an awful lot of race car under him the entire evening. He may be up to the task of marching through this field. He's got a little time left. Not a lot, but a little.
He's got a little time, but we have another caution.
The 02 car, that's Ryan Hemphill. We also have the 33 car, Greg Stewart. We saw him in trouble a while ago and up against the wall. Not sure which car that is. Is that 50?
That's Chris Wimmer, I think, in the 05.
05. Okay, Chris Wimmer, the 21-year-old out of Wausau, Wisconsin. So once again, he had a spin a little while ago when he was bumped from the back by the race leader, Joey Clanton. And we have another turnaround for Greg Stewart. We're going to take a look at that and see how it unfolded in just a moment. We see a little body work, and he's pointing out the left side there. I think he's indicating he might be angry at somebody. Here it is, buddy.
Well, I don't know why he was pointing at Mike Miller unless Miller might have a problem, because that was those 3 cars involved there.
Well, maybe he was asking to get through the line to the pits because he was caught up on high up on the racetrack. So he might be angry at somebody, but it wasn't Mike Miller. He was just trying to get out of that situation, get some attention to the car. There's Ryan Hemphill. He's been able to turn around and get going in the right direction. And there's the 52 car. We were talking about him a moment ago, Butch Miller, and he may be coming to the pits because right off that restart, he went backward real quick all the way to 11th position. Something's gone wrong with that machine. He looked like a contender.
Sparks under the right front corner there. Something on the suspension is dragging as he comes down towards pit road right now. They'll have to get that fixed, I'm sure.
And it's pure speculation on my part, but I would think that it probably will be too long a fix for him to get anywhere near the racetrack again in terms of a good, solid finishing position. You hate to see it go away that late. We're working leader lap 263 of 300. Sandy Heng is waiting for Butch Miller in the pits.
Well, Butch radioed in just about 3 or 4 laps ago saying he was having trouble with the right side. He called from the car saying he'd like to have 2 right side tires put on. Now, Butch actually lost the power steering at lap 70, so he's been muscling the car. Up until this point, he's come in 3 times, but of the 3 times, he's taken water. No fuel, no tires the other 3 times that he's ducked into the pits. They're also working without one of their top guys. Their car chief, Chris Roth, just got married on his honeymoon. They want to wish him happy honeymoon.
Wish him a happy honeymoon, but something's still dragging under there, isn't it, buddy?
Yeah, under the right front corner of Butch Miller's car, you can see the sparks. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but there's definitely something dragging on the racetrack.
And we did see Greg Stewart also having gotten into the pits. He may not come back out. There you see now he's not coming back out. That smoke tells us that. So up front it is still Joey Clanton. He's got a few miles to go, but he may be a race winner a few moments from now. The end of lap number 268, and the acceleration comes down one more time. The green flag waves, and Joey Clanton leads the charge onto the back straightaway in first place. Second place Hansen, then Miller, then Sawinski, then Dupuis. We've got a fight with just 30 laps to go in this event here in St. Augustine, Buddy Big.
Joey Clanton got a great restart there. Sawinski and all these guys with so much experience. Clanton, rookie of the year last year, but if he slips one time, he's going to fall back there with some of the most cagey short track drivers anywhere.
He hasn't slipped so far. He's got a good race car, and he's been up to the task. Right now, it's Sawinski working on the number 5 car of Scott Hansen, the veteran, in his 205th ASA start. And Travis Kittleson from Merritt Island, Florida, is backward on the track with no front end left. Tom Pitstone, a result of the spin, and he gets it going the right direction. Not much aero left on that machine, and we get another yellow flag.
No, he has to have good downforce. There's nothing to lift up.
So he gets it going in the right direction. Good look at the Vortec engine in that particular perspective. So we slow him down one. Clanton still out in front. Scott Hansen, number 5 from Green Bay, Wisconsin. What's he all about? Well, let's take a moment and find out.
Here's something you don't see very often. Open space on a rear quarter panel of a seasoned ASA veteran. The number 5 car of Scott Hansen is, well, 4 times now you've been a step away from the championship. You're hoping to make it a full season and maybe a shot at the championship this year.
We sure are. You know, we're going for the championship this year for Donnie and Marilyn Panetti, and we'd love to get something on the quarter panels of this car for them. We've been trying hard the last few months.
Hansen is one of those drivers that you can never count out. Chris?
Well, don't count him out, that's for sure, but he does have a little something on that rear quarter panel. He picked up Washington Apples and a few extra bucks today to help him run here tonight. And we go quickly back to green.
And he has a great sponsor. They just want enough sponsorship to say they have a good sponsor. So if you're interested, give him a call, because you'll never waste your money with Scott Hansen. He's one of the tigers of this division. But right now, he's got a mirror full of Sawinski, one of the fastest cars all night long here.
He really has had a stout race car. And we take a look at Tristan Dupuis, who's running in the 5th spot. Got caught in traffic back there. He's lost contact with the front and not much time to make it up. We're working at lap number 265 of 300. Those are the first 3 cars in the race. There you see Joey Clanton, a little bit of a drift there.
No, that was a slide. He wasn't just drifting. You can see his hands go all the way back around. He does that a little bit. Say 2 or 3 laps, he'll heat up the right rear tire and he'll start sliding backwards.
So Hansen holding on to second. Sawinski dropping off the attack here, at least for a moment. And I think the way that sound of the engines out there, we're going back to getting the yellow flag. Is they slowing them down? It sure looks like it. Yeah, there goes the base car. And there's a piece of bodywork on the course one more time. So they'll slow them down. So they get 3 or 4 laps in and then slowed them down with the yellow one more time. We're working leader lap number 268. The 4 car of Mark Cole, who started near the back but has been able to get some seat time throughout the evening, lost that little bit of bodywork, and they're going to have to go get it. So it's once again up to Joey Clanton to answer the call and get a good restart. That'll happen in a minute. Stay with us. Back in St. Augustine, you hear the roar of the Vortec engines. We're back at full song as Joey Clanton leads him into the corner. He's got Hansen on his hip, then Sawinski. And Buddy Baker, one thing to consider in terms of second place, Hansen has 56 more laps on his tires than Sawinski just behind him.
Yeah, and Sawinski's breathing hard on him right now, trying to get to see where he's vulnerable. Right now, he's hooked up. He's getting off the corner well, getting into the corner good. If he's going to pass him, he's going to have to find a weakness, and the center part of the corner looks like the place.
He's a little further away from the wall as he looks at it, down the straightaway in front of the pits, then tucks in behind in the middle of the corner. Exit speed so critical right here, the fastest part of the racetrack. You can set some things up from there if you get a good pull.
Yeah, if Hansen would come off just a little bit and slip out, and Sawinski could get a run almost straight into the corner, he could make a pass down the back straightaway. But right now, it looks like Hansen may be coming up on Joey.
I think they're gathering some of the space they lost on the restart. Clinton has had some terrific restarts all night long, but as these 2 guys fight it out for second, they are closing on the front, it would appear. Dupuis has 3 or 4 car lengths, and he's under attack as well.
Well, you remember just a couple of laps back, Joey Clanton came off the corner a little bit loose. That means the right rear may be giving up just a little bit.
There's last year's champion, Gary St. Amant from Columbus, Ohio. His left front fender has disappeared. He's had a struggling evening, although in 6th place you wouldn't necessarily think that. He really hasn't had the best race car, or at least certainly not the one he'd hoped for in this opener.
No, and this won't make it any better because he's certainly not aerodynamic at all right now.
Joey Clanton moved away a little bit. We were talking about a battle shaping up for the lead, and he's answered the call. He can see those guys back there, and I don't know that he did a speed up or they did a slow down, but he's got an extra car length or two to work with as Sawinski kind of hooks it off the corner there, and he's dropped back just a little bit and has to kind of regather himself.
Yeah, what Sawinski did was got down on the bottom part of the racetrack, and he got so low that he got all 4 tires off, and it made the car jump up the racetrack, and he lost about 2 or 3 car lengths. Now he's gathered back on Hansen a little bit. It won't be long before they're back into lap traffic, and that could change everything.
We're on lap 279, just to keep track of that phase of it. Closing in on the end, just over 10 miles to go in the event. Joey Clanton, who's led on most of the race since the 120 lap mark, and he's been in control of this last little dash. There you see the fire beneath, so to speak, the right front brakes glowing in the dark of St. Augustine. Just about everybody doing that. Boy, they're really glowing right now. He's working them hard.
Well, he knows it's showtime right now, and he's driving as deep into the corner as he possibly can, using the brakes, getting the car set, and back on the throttle. And he knows right now he's running the racetrack. They're trying to catch him. They're watching his car. He's watching the racetrack.
He's got some traffic just in front of him in the 07. That's Tully Esterline. And fingers crossed in the 83 pit of Joey Clanton. His folks down there, Jeff Carell and Wade Wilkes, Jack Long, Jody Wilkerson, they've done the work over the wall this evening, and now they're just praying their guy brings home the mount they gave him. Number 5, that is the car of Scott Hansen, still fighting, although I think some of the fight might be out of him. His people, the Lefebvre Racing guys, they seemed a little bit excited right there as he went by that time. They're certainly encouraging their guy.
Well, you can always bet on that, and right now Hansen is dropping back just a little bit, and they're just working as hard as they possibly can, pulling their driver on, and believe me, the spotter right now becomes a cheerleader.
So all the crews looking on anxiously, and they've done all they can. So I suppose to some degree a little bit of a helpless feeling. Glenn Allen Jr. just in front of the race leader. He leaves plenty of room, and Joey Clanton swings by.
Yeah, but just what I was talking about is he goes by Glenn Allen Jr. Clanton lost about 4 or 5 car lengths there. Hansen now about 4 car lengths back. So every time they come up on these slow cars, you have to time your passes so you pass them at a place where you're accelerating, not trying to get slow and turn into the corner.
Well, he held on to the lead. He had a little bit of a cushion to make a little bit of a miscalculation like that and get away with it. That's not always the case.
No, not always. And right now they're starting to get into that lap traffic I was talking about. One little slip, and hey, they're right on top of you. Look at this.
That's traffic. Sawinski takes the worst of it as the 30 car, Travis Kittleston, made a little bit of a turn to the left. Sawinski went right up over his left front and sliding out of the picture, but I don't think he was able to gather it up. We'll have to wait and see the picture and where his car is. But 21, Kevin Sawinski in the fight for the win, and it goes away.
Oh, boy, and when you hit that hard, you've done damage to the undercarriage. So Sawinski pretty much out of it, I'd say.
And the pace car has been dispatched. We'll take a look at the right side of the car. Let's go down to Sandy Hang.
Well, this is what you call heartbreak and disappointment. The team is looking at the screen, leaning over. They're upset about this, and they know what it means. It means that it doesn't look like they've got a shot.
Crew Chief Mike Chaffee, a reunited crew there from the 97 championship, hoping for the best here tonight, and in a flash it goes over. It looked like they were splitting traffic perfect. They were going to get through, and then boom.
He tried to make it 3 wide down the front straightaway, and you can see right here they make contact.
Well,
Hansen right there, and Sawinski on the bottom just jumps right over the left front.
So both of the guys in the fight for second in contact with the 30 car. The first one there, that snaps him to the left, and there goes Sawinski. He took the worst of it, no question about that. Hansen's still out there and running in second place, though we don't know, although where it hit on the car, buddy, I doubt there's much damage to keep him from at least being able to go racing a little bit.
Well, hopefully he can finish the race, but dominant race car no longer.
So it changes at the front, and that will put Dupuis up into third position in the race, though perhaps not third in the serial on the racetrack. Tristan Dupuis, an impressive runner over the last couple of years, picked up his first victory last year. New combination at Go-Go Racing this year. Could that bear serious results? Let's see.
There is a unique story behind this neon chartreuse fluorescent car of Tristan Dupuis. Tristan has a former driver as a crew chief, Dave Sensiba. Tell us how that's working out.
Dave's working out great. Dave, as everybody knows, is a very accomplished driver in ASA and late model racing, and there's a lot of synergy between Dave and I. Everything you experience as a driver, Dave as a crew chief has already experienced it, so he's been there and done that.
And another fact for this team, Dave Sensiba won Rookie of the Year right here in ASA, so he does know about the tracks.
As we're about to go green flag here, Dave Sensiba, how you doing as a crew chief today?
I got a little nervous there today, but Myers Kellogg's car's running good on the long runs. You can see what we can do.
291 laps are completed, and we go back to Green and Hansen right up there with Joey Clanton, and he went with him on the restart. Onto the back straightaway they go. Less than 10 laps left here at St. Augustine in the season opener for ASA Racing 2001.
You can see him getting away a little bit from Sawinski there in third place. He's got a lot of damage to the right front corner, but he's trying everything he possibly can to get up there.
Sawinski continues to run, and he did get a reasonable restart. You wonder about how much handling he has left with that right front. But there's no reason to go out. There's sparks from the bottom now. As he bottoms out, something might be dragging, buddy.
Yeah, I think so. It could be just sheet metal, hopefully, and he'll be able to finish the race because he drove his heart out tonight, and it'd be awful to fall out this late in the race.
Joey Clanton pulling away just a little bit with 6 laps to go, less than that now. And you see that drift. Can I call it a drift?
Yeah, you can call that a drift. That is a sideways drift, though. The car is getting a little bit loose, but with just a few laps to go, I think he can hang on to it. Maybe not, though.
Clanton, Hansen, Sawinski, Garvey, Sauter. Dupuis backed up since the restart just a little bit, and Mike Garvey in the #1 machine up to 4th position. He's had a good solid march forward in this event here tonight. Don't think he's going to get a chance to challenge for first place from there, but that's a good result coming up for him.
Yeah, Sauter looking over Sawinski right now. Sawinski just hanging on Gary St. Amant around on the back straightaway.
And he gathers it up, clutches it, shifts down, and number 60 out of control now. Ed Brown backward onto the infield grass with 297 laps completed. He'll try to get back onto the racing surface, it would appear. And up front, Joey Clanton continues to move along. A lot of paint rubbing and working for position, bumping and grinding right to the end.
Oh, yeah, this is the time when it's short track racing at its best, and there's contact a lot of times.
296 laps completed, and Joey Clanton and the yellow flies. Let's take a look at a replay of that latest incident that brought the yellow out. Here they are in a crowd.
Well, Gary St. Amant just loses the back of the car. He goes around on his own doing there. Nobody hit him from behind. He gathers it up. That's more than a 360. That's 2 of them, but he made two slides around and got it right back.
And the 21 car of Sawinski, we knew he had some bodywork loose.
Yeah.
That's I don't know, that was like a railroad sign. It's sticking out there a little bit too far. Did he drive it into the wall?
That was funny. He was trying to knock it off there by hitting the outside wall with the fender part.
Let's go down to Bob Dillner.
Crew Chief Bill McGowan, what happened with Gary there on the backstretch?
I just lost it. We kind of lost the car here tonight. There ain't no recovery. Don't seem like anything's going right. So.
Very, very unusual for this championship team.
Well, yeah, I guess so. Last year they finished all but 6 laps in the entire season and never replaced a single body panel all year long. And tonight they've lost a front fender and they've had a spin, which they don't very often do.
Yeah, well, he's just trying really hard, and the car's been off just a little bit. You can see it steps out, and turns around, goes around once, then he gathers it up right here and continues right on.
Good catch, certainly, for him. And we look at, he will continue. Where will he be? 8th position is what the scoreboard tells us right now. We're at lap 296 with 4 to go. And we'll get the green once they get the cleanup all done here in just a couple of minutes. We're going to finish under green. Let's go to Sandy Heng.
Well, this is not what Scott Hansen and his team wanted at all. Actually, Scott has been fighting that car, fighting a tight condition since their last pit stop. They missed the setup a little bit, and Scott has been trying to muscle that car. His main concern now, Sawinski's not behind it, but his teammate Mike Garvey is. They think Garvey's got quite a car, and they think Scott's going to have his work cut out for him when we have a restart.
And the restart signal has not yet come from the race director, Lex Dudas. We're standing by for that. There's Joey Clanton, one of his people, standing by in the pits. The acceleration underway. There is the green. Right with him is Hansen. Sawinski is still there. That's Mike Garvey in third position. Sawinski back in fourth now. And Clanton's kind of pulling away a little.
He's pulling away just a little bit. Hansen drove so very hard down into turn one on the restart there. He washed out a little bit. He's got a problem with Garvey right now in third place. Garvey looking to the inside as he heads down the D shape on the back straightaway.
297 done, less than 3 laps to go, and we'll have a verdict here in St. Augustine. And right now it's Mike Garvey all over the back of Hansen. The issue at hand is second place, not first.
Yeah, right now Clanton's looking in the mirror, and he would love to see these guys start racing side by side. And if Garvey has anything to do about it, they'll be side by side in just a second or two.
On the front straightaway, we get lap number 299 recorded. Onto the back they go. Joey Clanton from Stockbridge, Georgia, one career victory while on his way to the Rookie of the Year title last year. Onto the straight he comes.
Clanton down into turn one, right on the bottom. Hey, it's over.
And we did get checkered flag. I thought it was there. Wanted to make sure. 300 laps concluded. Joey Clanton has scored big in the opening event of the 2001 ASA season with his second career victory. Hansen in second, Garvey in third, then Sauter and Sawinski rounding out the top 5. Steve Dale, the owner, Gene Roberts, the crew chief, a happy moment for all of them, and the perfect start for this guy who said, the only thing I'll settle for in 2001 is a title, and he's off to a good...
Boy, there's a lot of momentum. Look at him spin that car out. That's a victory spin there.
Couple of donuts in the offing. Bob Dillner's in the pits.
And I am with Gene Roberts, the winning crew chief. Gene, man, what a way to start the season.
I tell you, we really pulled one over tonight. The tires were just incredible. You know, we talked earlier in the night, and BF Goodrich is just an awesome tire company. I can't say enough. We had a good track record last year. We understood what we needed to do as far as combinations, and we didn't gamble tonight. This was just the numbers were there. The times were still there. The track surface was getting cooler. I mean, everything was playing in right in our hands. So the hats off to the guys that work on the car. Joey is just an excellent young man. Steve Dale gives us everything we need to work with. It's just an incredible operation.
But you did gamble a little bit because only one stop tonight. You fooled them all.
Well, you know, we wanted to check our wear, and we had tested heavily here, and right side tires over left sides with a scuffed tire on the right and a sticker tire on the left. We knew what we were going to get as far as feeling the car, but everything just played out tonight. It was really nice, and it was great to be in St. Augustine.
Not bad at all for the 83 team.
Yeah, congratulations to them. That was a terrific finish for them. Let's go down to Sandy Heng now. Sandy?
Well, here is your race winner, Joey Clanton. Oh, he's going to hop on the roof. There he goes. He's a pretty excited. What a race. What a great race. And it looked like at one point your crew was nervous. They didn't think they got you a full tank of fuel, but they did, and you held on and made it happen.
These guys right here, they worked hard all winter. They worked on their pit stops, got us back out first. Worked on this car. I tore it up here in practice. We worked hard. We got it back together. We've been down here several times practicing with it, making sure this is it. We knew we could run these times all night long. Didn't need the tires, and that was it. The Vortex Chevrolet, BF Goodrich TA traction tires, they were awesome all night long.
What were you thinking on that last restart, knowing you had Scott Hansen and Garvey right behind you, two very seasoned, tough competitors that if anybody could get around you, one of them might have been able to do it?
All I knew was I sat there and as the cautions played off, I played different roles on where I started at, tried to mix it up a little bit, and what I could do with him. I had to use what little bit I know to run these cars to see what I could get away from. I knew I had to get away from it. I could get smooth and get a lot faster.
And you were watching that pace car on that restart.
Oh, yeah. I had to watch where it was, so I knew I cleared it, and we went on.
Okay, that's your race winner, Joey Clanton. Back to Chris.
Second career victory. Thank you, Sandy. The graduate of Georgia Tech, the man who is an engineering graduate over 8 years, had to take a slow educational process because he had to race at the same time, and he's done both very well. We'll be back. Welcome back to St. Augustine. The verdict is in. Joey Clanton on the point, picks up his second career victory. This is how it looked down through the field. Glenn Allen Jr. rescued 20th position. Cole was at the back at the beginning, 22nd. Good drive for a lot of folks, even though they didn't score big in terms of their standing. Now let's go down to Bob Dillman.
Scott Hansen, the seasoned veteran, but you couldn't catch the second-year guy, could you, tonight?
No, they tested here 5 or 6 times, you know, and Joey showed a lot of composure, too. So, you know, this Ford Taurus with this GM power plant ran pretty good. Hate to see how quick it'd be if it had a Ford engine in it, but for all in all, we had a pretty good night.
Well, good night for Scott Hansen. Mike Garvey, you told us earlier in the weekend that you were going to pace yourself, and that's what you did, and you got a third-place finish out of it.
Yeah, we did, Bob. I tell you, this, like I said, this GM Vortec powered Chevy Monte Carlo, Tecumseh, the pit crew, the favorite racing, everybody. I mean, we didn't have a good car today. But I tell you what, we kind of tried to bide our time and kind of pick and choose where we're going to go and try to make some changes. Last 50 laps, we gave it all we had. And if we can pull a podium out of a bad day, I mean, we're going to be in awful tough shape all the rest of the year.
I'll give your wife a hug. Sandy?
And Johnny Sauter, 125 laps you led, and now frustrating night.
Yeah, it's a rookie mistake. I guess we just left the pits a little too early, but I want to thank everybody at Chevrolet, AP Performance Racing. We did a great job tonight, and I think it's a sign of things to come.
But this driver certainly learned something important. The pit stops are powerful.
Indeed they are. Great first 100 laps for that young man, and he will be heard from again before this season is concluded. But at the point, it's Joey Clanton, then Scott Hansen, and Mike Garvey. And that's going to do it for our coverage of the inaugural event of the 2001 season, ASA style, the ASA.com 300 from St. Augustine. See you next time in Irwindale.